Out of the shadows of ancient times emerged the demonic king, a merciless ruler whose power casts suffering across all of humanity. Under his reign, the skies grew dark, and the world below was left with nothing but fear and the ashes of hope. Each time he emerged from the abyss, the great hero stood in his way, a legendary warrior whose bravery repeatedly saved the world. The hero's steadfast courage offered humanity a chance to survive. Without hesitation, the hero surges forward, unleashing a powerful cross-shaped strike that crashes down on the demon with the force of a falling meteorite. The ground trembles as the explosion erupts, obliterating everything in its wake. Stunned and broken, the Demon King stands in disbelief, unable to grasp how defeat overtook him. In an instant, his once unmatched strength has vanished, shattered by the radiant power of the hero. Amid the whirlwind of victory, a new figure emerges. A young man who boldly shoulders the weight of legends. Alone yet unwavering, he embodies the hopes of a new generation. Born in an era of darkness, this hero stands as a beacon for the future. Centuries of resistance led to a single, inescapable truth. His reign was over. Another hero now stood before him. The name destined to be engraved in history. Liberto, the new arbiter of the world's fate. The Demon King turned to stone, his anticipation crumbling. He had imagined armies flooding in, allies rallying at his side, an entire pack of heroes storming his stronghold. Yet only one figure stood before him. Just one was enough to send a chill of unease through his heart. Memories of Leon's journey drift through his mind. Companions at his side, clashes that shaped them, victories that forged their resolve. United, they had once crossed even the deepest abyss. Yet now, despite every bond they had built, the hero stepped forward alone. Without a single ally for support, fully prepared to meet either death or glory. The Demon King clenched his teeth in agitation. In his mind, heroes embodied fellowship, unity, and grand tales of drama. Yet the one before him remained silent and reserved, defying every familiar archetype. Once, side by side, they celebrated victories, wept after fierce battles, and spun tales destined to endure through the ages. Now silence clung to Leon, solitary and withdrawn, his words fallen away. Quiet had become his chosen armor. Narrowing his eyes, Leon throws down a challenge, questioning whether the king's interest in the tales of heroes might be a bit excessive. The king grows visibly flustered, waving his hand in denial as if caught in the act. Every heroic feat, every moment of triumph, he had studied them all in meticulous detail, determined to find a way to defeat the champions. Yet the true mystery eluded him, the reason Leon had chosen to face the battle alone. Leon remained unflinching, unwavering in his solitude. Trusting only in his own strength, he met every shadow head-on, certain that his power alone could dispel any darkness. For someone who embodied the very force of a storm, the presence of others was unnecessary. With each swing, his sword slices through the air while his magic mends every wound. Traps reveal themselves to his sharp gaze. Danger never catches him off guard. He stands alone in battle, relying only on his own strength. Independence guides his every step, and even the bravest demons shudder at the solitude that surrounds him. Conversation falls away as Leon steps forward, uninterested in idle talk. With silent resolve, he raises his sword. Drama and regret hold no sway here. Only the mission remains, to eradicate evil, and he is determined to see it through. Leon's voice thundered through the chamber, declaring the end of the Age of Darkness. No demon would ever again dictate the fate of the world. The reign of fear had come to a close. A blade slices through the darkness, marking the final stroke in an epic struggle. Meanwhile, far away in another world, a voice echoes from a window, sharply rousing someone from their sleep. Startled, the youth jolts awake, the vivid, all-too-real memory of that battle still lingering in his mind. From outside, a sharp voice cuts through the dawn, commanding the slumberer to rise without delay. Night after night, dreams return with vivid images of a heroic battle. One valiant knight clashing against a demonic overlord. Magnificence, glory, and fire fill each vision, leaving behind a lingering echo in his soul. Memories whisper of a time when a true hero walked the earth. Now, that era lingers only as a distant echo. Even if it is just a dream, a quiet longing stirs within, wishing to touch that legend, if only for a moment. The child received the name Leon, in memory of his late mother and the legendary hero of old, Leon Liberto. Though the name was meant to inspire hope, the world had long since stopped believing in the power of bygone symbols. The moment Leon arrives, he is met with reproach. Snail's older brother looks down on him, despite Leon showing up right on time. Such humiliation has become a routine part of his life. Without resistance or outrage, Leon apologizes calmly and moves on. Years of enduring indifference and arrogance have left him unshaken by insults. Born out of wedlock to a local nobleman, his fate is to serve within his own home, enduring constant humiliation at the hands of his half-brother. Inheritance and acknowledgement remain distant dreams. His existence stands in stark contrast to the renowned lives of legendary heroes. During the hunt, Leon serves only as a pack mule, hauling gear on his shoulders. Inside, he wrestles with a hollow emptiness and an aching sense of helplessness. If only he could tap into the strength that courses through his dreams. Yet reality shows no mercy to the weak. Snail strides forward with an air of arrogance, casting blame on Leon for arriving late. The accused boy clenches his jaw, struggling to hold back a retort, yet swallows his frustration once more. The friends, filled with excitement, dream of future hunts as they anticipate Snail's performance. Yet when thoughts drift toward the western forest, even the boldest gazes falter. Something dangerous lurks there, casting a shadow over their enthusiasm. All warnings prove useless. Snail pays no mind to anyone. Firmly convinced of his own invincibility, he marches straight toward danger, showing no trace of fear. Boundless confidence radiates from him. Not even an entire camp of goblins could make him falter. With a sword in hand and a smug grin lighting up his face, he truly believes in his own invincibility. The sword commanded attention, its presence impossible to ignore. More than just a weapon, it stood as a powerful emblem, drawing every gaze and stirring admiration among his friends. According to Snail, the sword once belonged to a renowned hero from bygone days. It stands as a legendary relic, passed down through generations of warriors who defended the world against monsters. Confusion swept over Leon as he pondered how his arrogant brother had managed to acquire such a remarkable artifact. Snail offered no explanation, simply maintaining a mysterious smile while basking in his own pride. Proudly, Snail recounts how his ancestor once fought side by side with the hero himself. Together they vanquished monsters, and as a reward his ancestor received that very sword. From that moment on, Snail felt certain that with this sword in his grasp, not just goblins, but even orcs would fall before him. Admiration sparkled in the eyes of his friends, while Leon sank into silent self-doubt, growing more entangled in the web of his own worries. With a daring leap forward, Snail wipes out the goblin in a single blow. He strikes a triumphant pose, a wide grin stretching across his face, already basking in glory as if he has become a legend despite having defeated only one foe. The boys watch in awe, realizing that not even a city guard could have displayed such skill. Snail basks in the praise, soaking up every bit of attention. Off to the side, Leon remains silent, his fists clenched, once more relegated to the shadows. For now, only a single enemy has shown up. When their numbers grow into the dozens, that confidence may be put to the ultimate test. Whether it can withstand a true onslaught remains to be seen. With previous hunting experience under their belt, the group views the goblins as little more than easy prey. Snail moves with confidence, his sword cutting true each time. Yet despite their current success, a greater danger lurks just ahead. An outsider among the others, Leon moves through life feeling weak and uncertain, his hands unfamiliar with the weight of a sword. Those around him dismiss his presence, finding little to take seriously. Solitude grants him a certain relief, as the prospect of battle fills him with dread, yet a persistent ache lingers deep within his chest. Suddenly, a pack of goblins bursts from the forest's shadow. The world erupts into a frenzy of movement and shouts as chaos takes hold of everything around. More than a dozen frenzied goblins burst out from the thicket. In an instant, the scene descends into a brutal bloodbath, with a horde of snarling creatures charging forward, forcing any thoughts of retreat out of reach. Leon freezes, his heart pounding so fiercely it feels ready to burst. Snail shouts over the chaos for everyone to stay calm, vowing to handle the situation alone. Meanwhile, enemies close in from all sides, tightening the circle of their trap until no escape remains. Despite being outnumbered, the group holds their ground. Suddenly, Leon catches a glimpse of something massive lurking in the bushes. Hidden in the shadows stands a menacing figure. The hulking goblin, a black giant still unnoticed by the rest of the group. From the shadows emerges a towering giant. The ground trembles with each of its massive steps, and its gaze blazes with unrestrained fury. No longer an ordinary monster, this creature stands before Leon as a true nightmare, utterly devoid of mercy. Breath caught tight in Leon's chest as his thoughts screamed to flee. Confronted by a presence far more terrifying than any goblin, Terror gripped his body, freezing his resolve. More than just a massive beast, this creature stands as an ogre, a true menace among the mid-tier monsters, yet far deadlier than any of its peers. In the tense hush of its presence, not a single person holds even a sliver of hope or a hint of strategy. Panic slices through the crowd as the ogre comes into view. Whatever calm remained quickly dissolves, replaced by a wave of despair that grips everyone as if death itself stands just behind them. Only Snail presses on, driven either by stubborn resolve or simple foolishness. His faith in the power of the sword remains unshaken. In contrast, his friend's eyes reflect only fear, their hope having faded away. Blinded by arrogance, Snail charges forward, convinced that a single blow will solve everything. Yet fear scatters through the air like powder touched by flame. The ogre effortlessly seizes the sword with his bare hands. Snail's smile vanishes in an instant, and for the first time, a genuine sense of doom clouds his face. Chaos erupts as screams fill the air, and panic sweeps through the crowd, driving everyone to flee in confusion. Leon longs to escape as well, yet he barely moves before the worst unfolds. Snail lunges forward, seizing him and hurling him with all his might right at the monster's feet. The beast sets its sights on its prey. Leon. Stunned and betrayed, Leon collapses to the ground. With unwavering certainty, Snail declares that Leona was brought here to die. Her sacrifice was meant to save the others. The boy stands stunned, the sting of betrayal cutting deeper than any blade. The ogre towers above, preparing to deliver a fatal blow. Leon stands frozen, his mind shattering and his heart nearly stopping. Suddenly, at the edge of consciousness, a voice echoed in the mind, cold, confident, and tinged with a hint of mockery. "An ogre? You think he'll kill you?" Despair gripped Leon, convinced of his own worthlessness. He had never defeated even a single goblin. This had to be nothing more than a dream. Yet the voice paid no heed to his doubts, calmly reminding him, "You defeated the Demon King. Have you forgotten?" A faint click echoes from within. The fear dissolves, and the trembling in his hand fades away. Deep inside, something awakens, ancient, powerful, and undeniably real. Leon lifts the lid of the box and rests his hand on the sword. Certainty fills him, as if he had always known this moment would come. The journey truly begins here. Moving forward at a steady pace, he radiates a quiet confidence that unsettles those around him more than any blade could. There stands not a mere boy, but a seasoned warrior, one who has looked death in the eye and remained unshaken. With a single powerful strike, Leon severs the ogre's arm. Blood spurts through the air as the creature remains oblivious to what has just occurred. The movement, executed flawlessly, bears no trace of hesitation. An agonized roar bursts from the ogre, his pain so fierce it sends tremors through the forest. The cry tears through the air, but the moment for rescue has long since passed. Leon gazes at the sword resting in his hands, barely able to trust what he sees. A silent question echoes in his mind, wondering if he could truly be responsible. The voice responds with laughter, affirming his actions and reminding him that no one else was there. The ogre lunges forward, desperate to strike once more. Leon stands his ground and delivers a swift, precise slash from the creature's neck to its belly. The blade cuts cleanly, ending the monster before it can even comprehend what has happened. Motionless, Leon looms over the lifeless body, his eyes fixed on the mutilated corpse. The echoes of the battle still linger in his soul. Despite his victory, a clear understanding remains. These creatures possess incredible endurance. A surge of power had shot through bone and spine, leaving its mark. Yet the mocking voice persists, taunting with a sneer, claiming even a simple branch would have brought him down. Leon's gaze lingers on his palm, no longer the hand of a child but that of a hero. A subtle light flickers to life in his eyes, awakening after a long slumber. At that moment, memories come rushing back. A tidal wave of recollections crashes through the barrier of forgetfulness. Swords clashed and battles raged as memories of the Demon King and the looming end of the world surged to the surface, vivid and searing. This was no dream. The legendary hero who once bore the entire world upon his shoulders now stood before them, memories flooding back. The truth had finally come to light. The legendary hero of the past has returned, reborn with a new body and a fresh destiny. Leon Liberto lives once more, ready to defend the world as its guardian anew. The soul of Leon Liberto awakens within the body of a boy scorned by everyone around him. A sword gleams in his grasp, and an unknown path stretches out before him. Fate summons him once more to the battlefield, leaving no room for escape. His gaze drifts over the plain sword, unremarkable. almost fragile in its simplicity. In the past, he would have handed it away without a second thought. Now, however, something stirs deep within, awakening a long-forgotten sense that lingers in the quiet of his soul. Although he now possessed a new body and a century had passed, the place still felt familiar. He remembered arriving here before, also to hunt down monsters. Back then, his guide had been the son of a greedy village elder, and his reward, a nondescript sword, had since become a legend. The irony of the situation gnaws away from within. The weapon he once acquired almost by chance has now become the stuff of legend. Yet, as has always been the case, the truth was something altogether different. Leon stepped forward, alive and unscathed, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Astonishment etched itself across their faces, disbelief plain in their eyes as they struggled to accept that he had somehow survived. In a whirlwind of desperation, Snail bombards everyone with questions. Meanwhile, Leon responds with calm indifference, announcing that the ogre is dead. The room grows heavy with silence as no one manages to process what they have just heard. The snail lets out a laugh right in Leonov's face, mocking him without mercy. It insists the monster merely ignored him, taunting that a weakling like Leonov could never defeat such a terrifying creature. Without warning, Leon tosses his sword behind him, his motion steady and sure. A chill determination flashes in his eyes, instantly silencing Snail, who finds himself at a complete loss for words. With an icy calm, Leon commands silence. His voice cuts through the air like a blade. In an instant, the entire atmosphere shifts. He speaks, and everyone else listens. Fury driving him forward, the snail reaches for his sword, but Leon hurls something his way. Instinct takes over and he catches it. An ogre's severed head. He freezes, stunned and utterly speechless. The bloodied head rolls to a stop at the boy's feet, casting a chilling silence over the group. Unease settles in as realization dawns. Leon truly slew the ogre, and he did it alone. Fear seizes the friends, leaving them frozen in place. Snail, still unable to believe his eyes, struggles to speak, but the words refuse to come. His entire world has been turned upside down. Leon has vanished without a trace. Snail glances around in confusion, realizing the boy has disappeared as if he simply faded into thin air. The empty space he leaves behind deepens the unsettling sense of mystery. Within the walls of his own home, Leona finds a lively slime bouncing eagerly toward him. With gentle affection, he calls the creature Sora, the one being in his life that brings genuine joy. 2 years ago, a wounded slug appeared in the yard. After tending to its injuries and offering it food, the little creature never left his side again. Despite being the frailest being, Sora became his dearest friend. With his memories restored, Leon feels certain he is the hero reborn. Yet fragments remain missing. His mind is riddled with gaps that beg to be filled. All stories end with the familiar promise of living happily ever after. Yet a strange unease stirs within Leon. No page recounts what became of him, whether he met his end or embarked on new adventures. The silence surrounding his fate feels unsettling. Only one memory stands out in vivid detail: the decisive clash with the Demon King. That instant replays endlessly in his dreams. Each time awareness dawns, a sudden spark ignites deep within his mind. In the very moment of triumph, a dreadful curse descended upon him. Memories cut like a sharpened blade, revealing the secret behind both his demise and his rebirth. The curse cast by the Demon King activated the very moment he perished. Its true purpose was to drag the hero down with him, sealing their power together. As a final, desperate surge of dark magic, the spell achieved exactly what it intended. The curse of the demonic lord surged through the hero's veins in an instant. Reaching desperately for the antidote, he managed to bring it to his lips. However, the moment the liquid touched his mouth, a numb paralysis swept over him. Muscles refused to obey, and a fading darkness crept into his consciousness. The hero lost consciousness before he could finish drinking the elixir. At this very moment, the official story came to an abrupt end, leading everyone to believe he had perished. Yet the truth remained hidden in the silence. Reborn in a new world, Leon recalls with a bitter pang the moment that changed everything. The greatest hero humanity had ever known met his end in silence, his passing unnoticed and uncelebrated. Victory had been his, yet a single flaw, unchecked overconfidence, led to his downfall. Leon remains lost in thought. The reason behind his solitary battle troubles him, as does the identity of the voice that now questions him. Uncertainty lingers about why fate decreed his end would come at the very moment of triumph. The realization struck Leon. The curse had been crafted with a single purpose: his destruction. With allies by his side, hope for survival might have lingered. Alone, bound by relentless magic, no path to escape remained. Upon awakening in a new body, Leon felt no regret. He made peace with his past and resolved to move forward, refusing to waste any energy on self-pity. He finds himself weighing his present self against the hero he once was, quietly wondering how much of his true essence remains unbroken after his rebirth. The victory over the ogre proved that a portion of his power still lingered. To confirm this, he called upon a familiar technique: appraisal. Success comes quickly as the ability responds just like it did before. This serves as proof that a fragment of his former power still lingers within him. Upon checking his status, Leon realizes his current race pales in comparison to his previous one. With his potential reset and level returned to 0, an entirely new opportunity presents itself. All the titles he had earned remained with him: Master Swordsman, Supreme Mage, Saint, and Royal Thief. Each stood at its highest level, their power undiminished. His true potential persisted, untouched and intact. In this world, one's profession shaped their destiny. Higher ranks brought greater power, unlocking new techniques and countless paths to achievement. Upon reaching the 20th level, the chance to receive a blessing from the deity would unfold. This marked the ultimate pinnacle of power, reserved exclusively for the chosen few. Crossing the threshold of the 20th level granted divine favor. In a past life, Leon attained the highest rank in 4 different classes, with each one revealing a distinct facet of his growing power. Upon his reincarnation, his racial level reset to 0, yet all his achievements remained intact. These very accomplishments had once enabled him to defeat the Demon King himself, and now, once again, he stands prepared to fight. Despite his race's low standing, his attributes had already reached S rank. Strength, agility, magic, and luck far surpassed what anyone would expect at the 3rd level. Nothing compares to the past, when everything reached the lofty rank of SSS. Yet even now, this stands as a genuine marvel, surpassing the limits of ordinary potential. In addition, a stash of 300 professional points remained at his disposal, a formidable reserve for a fresh start. No doubt he would seize this opportunity. Leon now grasps the secret behind these lenses. Raising his race level unlocks new possibilities. Each point becomes a key, opening doors to new professions and greater power. In a previous life, mastery over every main class and reaching level 100 had been his greatest achievements. Now, with just 300 points to his name, a new question lingered: could he surpass the person he once was? Observing the profession system, Leon notices a clear pattern. Every class is divided into 3 tiers: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Ascending to a higher tier grows increasingly challenging, as each step demands significantly more points than the last. In days gone by, he mastered the heights of 4 distinct archetypes. Reflecting on those achievements, the hero realizes that the foundation of his strength, built back then, still lies firmly rooted in his very being. Memories stir with visions of the archetypes: the King of Thieves, the Master Swordsman, the Holy Healer, and the Grand Archmage. Every path had reached its end. Though the body now stood renewed, the power remained undiminished. Now, even at just level 3, Leon commands an impressive 300 points, an extraordinary feat. The system continues to reward him far more generously than anyone else. The strength of the past lingers within him. Beyond the standard classes, rare ones exist that merge several paths into a single discipline. For instance, a master of both swordsmanship and sorcery can unlock the way of the sword mage. The fusion of a dark warrior and a priest paved the way to becoming a paladin. Mastery of both magic and healing transformed one into a sage, a rare class that shattered every boundary set by the system. To reclaim all 4 archetypes, 10,000 points stand between him and his goal. In the past, that sum slipped beyond his grasp, leaving him unable to choose the exceptional professions he desired. Regret over that missed chance still lingers within him. A new life unfolds, bringing with it another chance. Yet now, a decision must be made, one that will shape the entire future. There is no room for mistakes, no turning back. Leon makes his way to the church, the place where destinies are assigned. Only within these sacred walls does the tree of classes reveal itself. The memory lingers, without the prayer skill, reserved for those on the priestly path. The journey of choosing cannot even begin. With a final farewell to Sora, he sets out on his journey, determination woven into every step. Deep within, a quiet confidence assures him that this time, he will make all the right choices. As Leon crossed the church threshold, a familiar boy blocked his path, eyes flashing with hostility. The boy, clearly agitated, demanded an explanation for Leon's sudden disappearance. Leon responds with a calm, steady voice, cold and assured, just as he had done in his former life. The measured tone only fuels his opponent's anger. Suddenly, Leon realizes something new. Even his manner of speaking has begun to change. The opponent lunges forward, driven by raw anger. His blows are clumsy and forceful, lacking precision. Leon observes the spectacle with icy indifference, as if facing not a true fighter but a foolish shadow. Dodging serves no purpose. He already knows he won't be harmed. His calm demeanor acts as the armor of someone undeniably stronger. The blow lands, yet it fails to cause any harm. A passive skill activates, just as it did in the past. A surge of energy rebounds twice as strong, sending the attacker hurtling backward. He crashes to the ground, unconscious, while Leon remains firmly in place, unmoved. His gaze settles on the defeated enemy, and only now does he recall the skill, so deeply ingrained from the past that it had become a reflex. Back then, that response came naturally. Pity would return, doubled in strength. For weaker opponents, this could prove fatal. This time was no different. Leon steps in, closing the distance. The opponent remains alive, though unconscious. The force of Leon's blow had been excessive. He misjudged, momentarily forgetting the extent of his own strength. Leon's gaze lingers on the boy's nose, noticing its odd, crooked shape. Suddenly, a distant shout breaks the quiet. Someone is rushing toward them, gripping a club with fury in their steps. The mother rushes into the church, desperation etched across her face as she hurries to her son, striving to rouse him from his stupor. Leon watches in silence. Tension coils through the air, growing heavier with every passing second. Weighing the situation, Leon quietly melts into the background. With the woman's focus fixed on her son, he carefully slips away, determined to avoid any further confrontations. The woman's voice rises in a frantic outburst, hurling accusations at him for everything that's happened. Overwhelmed by emotion, she refuses to accept that the boy merely fainted, her disbelief fueling her anger. Insults spill from her lips. Servant's son, a castaway in this household, an outsider who should never have belonged to their world. Contempt drips from every word she utters. Leon remains unfazed. Her shouting is nothing more than the echo of powerless envy. With calm resolve, he announces he has business to attend to and walks away, leaving her behind with empty eyes. Her cries follow him, yet he never once looks back. Leon steps into the temple, sensing the air grow heavy around him. Tension builds steadily as the decisive moment draws near. With quiet reverence, the nun escorts him into the chamber. She carefully places the enchanted orb upon its pedestal, and the ritual begins. Magic shimmers in the air, and the very space around them seems to awaken. The bullet ignites, unveiling the tree of classes, a vast diagram branching into hundreds of paths. Bathed in a magical glow, every possibility within the system unfolds before him. Leon notices that most professions are available once more. Some require dedicated training, while others are innate talents. The skill tree remains familiar, as do the rules governing this world. Standing before the ancient tree, Leon pondered his path. The wisdom and balance embodied by the sage class drew him in, promising strength and insight. Yet, another calling tugged at his mind. The allure of the anti-hero, a road that defied fate and challenged convention. The branching class tree welcomed new archetypes, the fighter and the hunter. Their arrival unlocked fresh avenues of growth, offering novel tactics, inventive combinations, and unexplored horizons. Amid countless possibilities, Leon suddenly recognizes that the burning desire for power no longer smolders within him. This realization comes quietly, yet with unwavering certainty. From the age of 10, his entire existence revolved around a single purpose: defeating the Demon King. Day after day, he pushed himself through relentless training, driven by unwavering devotion. Now the full weight of that sacrifice settles upon him. In this new world, constant danger no longer looms, and the chains of duty have fallen away. For the first time, he lets himself imagine a life free from war and obligation, simply life itself, unburdened. Among all the classes, the tamer catches his eye unexpectedly. For reasons unknown, this profession resonates within him more profoundly than any other. The thought of learning to understand monsters, especially Sora, suddenly becomes intriguing. Perhaps true strength lies in forming connections rather than relying on swords and spells. Sora lacks eyes and a mouth, yet the bond between them reaches deeper than any spoken word. This silent connection tugs at Leon's heart, and he quietly longs to unravel the mystery of his friend's unspoken world. With unwavering resolve, Leon selects the class of beast tamer. This marks his first step toward genuine understanding, and the first decision he has made guided not by duty, but by the call of his own heart. As soon as Leon returns from church, a maid intercepts him in the hallway. The master wishes to speak with him about the recent conflict involving Snail. The maid speaks in a flat tone, not waiting for any reply. Leon's face remains expressionless as he listens, clearly accustomed to exchanges like this. Deep inside, he braces himself for yet another confrontation. The door swings open, revealing a woman standing beside a young man. Tension thickens the air, heavy and expectant like the moments before a storm. All eyes turn toward Leon. His father rose from the sofa, his posture serious and tense, yet a hint of relief softened his features. With a stern gaze, he silently demanded an explanation. Leon calmly mentions that he was at the church. His words send a ripple of silence through the room as the family falls still, each member caught off guard by his revelation. Lloyd, the father, asks about Snail's bruises. Snail points firmly to his own face, his gesture full of accusation, and lays the blame on Leon. Silent yet intense, Leon's gaze cuts through the tension in the room. Leon maintains steady eye contact as he confirms with calm assurance that he did strike. His voice betrays no guilt, only a straightforward acknowledgement of the truth. Without restraint, the woman lashes out at Leon, her voice a torrent of accusation. Cruelty and danger, she declares, define him. At the end, she delivers a final insult, a flaw inherited from his mother. A fit of hysteria overtakes her as furious accusations of banishment spill from her lips. In her eyes, Leon stands as the family's disgrace. Her voice slices through the room, desperate for a final, unyielding verdict. A moment of hesitation passes over the father. He's only 12, he murmurs, as if searching for an excuse for himself. The realization dawns on Leon. He won't be sent away. Relief sudden and unexpected washes over him. Memories of his mother drift through Leon's mind. A maid whose beauty once captivated the master of the house. They say her radiance was beyond compare. Perhaps this lingering story explains why his father cannot bring himself to cast Leon out now. Never giving in to sentimentality, he knows that circumstances hold little weight. What truly matters is his response, and he consistently chooses to meet each moment with dignity. Leon chooses his own path, turning away from charity and pity. Freedom calls to him, and with determined resolve, he claims it for himself. The woman snaps, her words laced with ridicule as she declares that he has finally realized no one here needs him. Silence hangs between them as the father watches, awkward and uncertain, unable to find an appropriate response. Her insistence sharpens. He must be expelled at once. At 12, rural children already carry their share of work, she argues. Laughter drips from her words as she mocks and belittles him, relentlessly calling him nothing more than a servant's son. Father suggests arranging an apprenticeship for Leon with the merchants, but the boy interrupts sharply, declaring there's no need. His decision has already been made. Leon announces his intention to become an adventurer. The silence that follows feels sharp and cutting, as if a blade has swept through the room. Everyone stands stunned, utterly unable to believe the words that have just been spoken. In his thoughts, he recalls that seekers are the ones who dare to take risks and reshape fate. They venture into places where others hesitate to glance, and within those perilous moments, true strength is born. This path exists for those without noble titles. No one here cares about your lineage. What matters is how many times you found the strength to rise after each fall. At the same time, the reality of this path weighs heavily on him. No steady salary awaits, nor any promises of security. The risks and relentless expenses are constant companions. Yet despite it all, resolve fills his heart, unwavering and sure. In his previous life, Leon fought alongside the Seekers. Often choosing to act alone, he still remembered each of them. No matter the circumstances, he belonged to that world. Astonishment colors his father's voice as he inquires about Leon's plans for the upcoming battle. With quiet confidence, Leon reveals that he has already secured a combat position within the church. The announcement leaves everyone around him utterly taken aback. With a huff of irritation, Ravnik levels an accusation at Leon, calling him a liar. In his eyes, someone so young could never have secured a position within the church. The idea seems far too improbable to believe. Despite his impressive skills, Snail voices his frustration over not having secured a single job. Leon finally understands the reason. His brother possesses only average, unremarkable abilities. With quiet resolve, Leon announces his decision to leave the estate. He assures everyone that he can manage on his own, needing neither supervision nor suggestions. Bidding farewell, he turns away from his former life and steps into the unknown. Upon stepping into his new room, a familiar shape greets him. The jelly-like creature bounces toward him with obvious delight. Leon crouches nearby, reaching out with his senses to understand the creature's emotions. With each passing moment, the unfamiliar dwelling feels a little less strange as a sense of belonging slowly takes root within him. With gentle fingers, he brushes against the slime, closely watching its subtle responses to his touch. A sense of genuine connection begins to form between them, new and unmistakable. For the first time, Leon notices a subtle yet important difference in how the creature responds to him compared to others. This nuanced distinction, previously overlooked, now catches his attentive gaze. The father appears in the doorway, his expression carefully composed. However, a quiet storm brews in his eyes, betraying a struggle within. He stands in silence, as if searching for the right words to break the heavy quiet. Without a word, Lloyd steps forward and holds out a pouch that clinks heavily in his hand. Inside, there is money. Leon lifts his gaze, surprise flashing in his eyes as he quietly asks if this is for real. A simple nod serves as the only answer. With a heavy heart, the father admits this is all he can offer. He quietly apologizes for not becoming a better parent. Leon accepts the gift without hesitation, knowing this support will prove invaluable on his journey. No words are needed, but gratitude glows in his heart. After their conversation, Leon methodically gathers his belongings, placing each item into the enchanted bag of holding, a mystical chest capable of whisking its contents away to another dimension. Though the space is not infinite, it is several times larger than an ordinary room. This sense of freedom is a comfort the hero deeply appreciates. Memories drift back. In a previous life, he possessed a bag capable of holding an entire village. Yet now, even this small satchel feels like a wonder beyond compare. The dawn of a new life washed over him with an unexpected sense of ease. Freed from the burdens of the past, and untouched by pressure, resolve filled his heart. For the first time, departure became a choice he embraced willingly. The following morning, Leon announces his plans to set out on a journey. The tiny slime shivers in response, a reaction so immediate and touching that it lingers in the air. The moment the creature understands it will join him, its eyes light up with excitement. A smile spreads across Leon's face, a silent agreement passing between them. Now, together, they are a team. Before leaving, Leon bids his father farewell. He offers a brief yet heartfelt thank you. The moment has come to move forward. With a light heart, Leon sets off on his journey. Beside Sora, he steps into a new life, determination burning within him and the promise of freedom shimmering ahead. Sensing the weight of curious eyes behind him, Leon presses on, invigorated by the sense that a grand adventure is just beginning. Amidst the crowd, pursuers blend in, disguising themselves as ordinary passers-by. Yet the intensity of their watchful gazes betrays their true intentions. From the crowd emerges a suspicious figure, a false smile plastered on their face. Blocking Leon's path, an unsettling tension begins to fill the air. There stands Snail, surrounded by a crowd, offering a public farewell to his brother. His voice carries the tone of sincerity, yet every word drips with malice. Poison laces his speech, weaving a subtle trap for the unwary. Snail finally admits the real reason for calling everyone together. His money has run out. Now he seeks to take back what Leon's father gave him. Despite the confrontation, Leon remains calm and composed. With a cold edge to his voice, Leon dismisses the plea as pointless. Resolute, he declares that he has no intention of backing down. He firmly tells Snail to step aside, unwavering determination evident in his tone. A dry laugh escapes Snail, brimming with certainty that Leon remains oblivious to the risks ahead. Yet beneath that laughter lingers only the faint echo of his own despair. Open threats hang in the air as demands for money are issued. Leon remains utterly unshaken. Calm as ice, his gaze meets that of his enemy without flinching. The thought crosses the hero's mind. What if he simply refuses? This hesitation only fuels Snail's fury, making him erupt in anger. At that moment, Snail issues a command. His cutthroats surge forward, the fight now unavoidable. Leon remains calm and steadfast, bracing himself to meet their assault. One of the thugs lunges fiercely at Leon, only to be hurled backward as the double rebound kicks in. The attack ricochets with twice its original force. Witnessing this, Snail is thrown into a panic. With desperate command, he orders a full-front assault. Leon remains perfectly still, calm and collected, as if the storm rages around him without ever touching his core. The ability triggers once more, sending every attack hurtling back with unrelenting force. Leon's confidence stands firm, unwavering in the face of danger. Several attackers collapse unconscious, while Leon silently observes that abilities do not always guarantee success. Yet, his honed skill noticeably raises the odds. This time, everything unfolds flawlessly. The snail warriors freeze in place. A single glance from Leon causes them to scatter like playing cards tossed into the wind. He doesn't move a muscle, only delivers an unwavering, confident silence. Desperation seizes Snail as he shouts for a ranged attack. One of the villagers hurls a stone. Leon watches calmly, unmoved, as if the stone were nothing more than a passing breeze. The double rebound activates once more. The stone hurtles back, landing with a dull thud against the aggressor's face. In a chill, measured tone, Leon explains that not even distance can provide safety. Panic spreads as Snail's men tremble, not at the sight of a boy, but confronted by overwhelming power. Losing his composure, Snail erupts in a fit of rage. After calling everyone pathetic, he seizes a knife. A confident smile spreads across his face. For once, he chooses to take matters into his own hands. A challenge rang out as he called Leon to a duel, demanding proof of true skill. Yet for Leon, these words amounted to nothing more than background noise. Leon stoops to pick up an ordinary stick from the ground, stating calmly that it will suffice. The quiet steadiness in his voice carries a threat more chilling than any weapon. Snail raises his voice, baffled by Leon's choice of a branch. Leon responds with a gentle remark, noting the oddity that something so simple managed to defeat him. The snail suddenly bursts, his face contorts with rage. Pride shatters within him, and any grip on self-control slips away completely. Fueled by a surge of rage, he lunges forward. Leon watches with a calm composure, a hint of surprise flickering in his eyes, as if to wonder how his opponent has still learned nothing. Snail lunges forward, knife glinting in his grasp, but Leon shifts with precision, evading the attack and shattering the blade with a swift strike of his cane. In a single motion, the weapon is destroyed. Terror sweeps over the snail as he's hurled backward before he can make sense of what has just happened. Fear fills his wide, trembling eyes. As he lay there, Leon's mocking voice reached him. "Next time, try using your head." The words were gentle in tone, yet their sting lingered. A satisfied smile spreads across Leon's face as the battle draws to a close. Snail, battered and humiliated, cries out in disbelief, desperately demanding to know what technique was used against him. Leon merely shrugs and replies, "A blow from a stick." Disbelief flickers across Snail's face. Such a thing defies reason. Yet Leon remains calm, as if nothing out of the ordinary has occurred. Leon demonstrates the movement with his stick once more. The motion appears light and effortless, more like a playful gesture than a display of combat. With a mere touch of the staff to the ground, the earth splits apart. Cracks race outward in every direction from the force of the blow. Snail freezes, paralyzed by terror. Leon raises his staff and a brilliant flash slices through the sky. Waves of energy burst outward, bathing everything around in luminous radiance. Shock swept through the crowd. Horror, amazement, and awe painted every face. What stood before them was no ordinary boy, but a living miracle. Leon admits the staff is completely ordinary. Confusion clouds the atmosphere. If that's true, what gives it such incredible power? The explanation unfolds. A branch from the world tree, infused with the formidable power of aura calcum. Even a hero's sword pales in comparison to such might. The crowd holds its breath in anticipation. With a sly smile, Leon tosses the stick into the air and remarks, "Take it if you want. That thing is worth at least 100 gold coins." His tone drips with provocation. Chaos erupts as everyone scrambles for a prize, tempers flaring amid shouts and jostling. Leon merely watches, his face marked by boredom and his tongue lazily sticking out. At last, Snail snatches the stick, declaring it as his own. Holding it up triumphantly, he boasts and raises it high for everyone to see. From a distance, Leon keeps a watchful eye, his thoughts uneasy. If that wild swinging continues, trouble is sure to follow. At that very moment, a sharp crack split the air as the stick snapped in two. Silence swept over the crowd. The shock held everyone in its grip, as if they had just witnessed the greatest loss of their lives. The snail gazes in bewilderment at the shattered pieces of the stick, unable to grasp how something so powerful could break so suddenly. Doubt crept among those present as they questioned whether the wand had ever truly been a relic. Amid the confusion, Leon had already vanished, seizing the chaos as the perfect moment to embark on another journey. Along the road to the Guild City, A loyal, jelly-like companion floats faithfully at his side. The peaceful journey of the young man who has been reborn as an adventurer is just beginning. A fellow traveler in the cart catches Leon's intent gaze and wonders aloud if he is chasing the glory of an adventurer. With a gentle stroke along his jelly companion, Leon's smile widens as he nods in agreement. Curiosity sparks among his companions, and soon they find themselves urging him to share more about his story. The young man goes by the name Ryan, a seasoned fighter ranked at D level. His captivating partner, Naya, matches his skill with a D rank of her own. Genuine surprise flickers across Leon's face as he listens. The concept of a ranking system is entirely foreign to him, and the discussion leaves him utterly perplexed. Naya explained that ranks range from F to S, reflecting a traveler's level based on the number of completed missions. Newcomers begin at ranks F and E, while those at rank D have proven themselves as reliable adventurers. By the time one reaches rank C, they are considered respected professionals in their field. Leon turns his attention to the mysterious SS and SSS ranks, wondering if a century's passage has altered the hierarchy. Naya playfully teases him about his age, suggesting that starting out at this point won't be easy. Suddenly, a brutal clash breaks out ahead. The travelers instantly become alert, senses sharpened as tension fills the air. Two adventurers found themselves caught in a bandit ambush. Danger pressed in from all sides, leaving no room for hesitation or second thoughts. Panic tightens its grip on Naya while Ryan scans the scene, recognizing the overwhelming number of enemies. The outcome now depends entirely on the power of those already locked in combat. A bandit's gaze falls on the wagon, and a sinister smile curls across his lips. The bandits boast of their name, Madhouse, claiming to be the most fearsome gang in the region. At the mention of this notorious title, both Ryan and Naya turn pale, their faces betraying that they have heard tales of these legends before. Ryan explains that the guild has dispatched many formidable warriors in the past, yet every mission ended in failure. Leon leans in with interest, and his suspicion is quickly confirmed. These bandits truly are the stuff of legend. The bandits demand both money and women. Tension grips Ryan and Naya, leaving them frozen with uncertainty. Meanwhile, Leon quietly readies himself for action, his composure undisturbed. A colossal magic circle forms behind Leon, its presence warping the air. Sand whips upward as a storm gathers, and raw power surges into the world. The bandits are lifted into the air and scattered across the field, while even the most seasoned prospectors have no choice but to seek cover from the relentless force of the elements. The bewildered allies glance around, searching for answers. With an easy calm, Leon explains that it was a sandstorm. Acknowledging the power they just witnessed, the friends agree it was a deadly fusion of wind and earth. Leon attempted to defend his actions, claiming his only intention was to catch the criminals. The others, however, rejected his explanation, insisting that the true issue lay not in compassion but in the very nature of power itself. Surveying the sprawled enemies, Leon lets out a weary sigh. Space on the wagon is scarce, so perhaps he'll have to haul them by hand. Everyone watched in astonishment as he cast powerful spells in utter silence, surpassing the limits of ordinary sorcery. Leon tosses the bandits into the corner of the wagon, calmly declares the task finished, and continues on his way as if nothing had happened. The girl with spiky hair dashes after him, moving so quickly that the stunned seekers can hardly process what is happening around them. Meanwhile, Leon arrives at the city gates, his composure unchanged, as if his journey had only just begun. The bound bandits are handed over to the guard, who gazes in astonishment, unable to fathom how a young man managed to single-handedly defeat the infamous Madhouse gang. Wandering through familiar alleyways, Leon observes that nearly everything remains untouched by time. The guard, meanwhile, still puzzles over where the hero and his captives have disappeared. Upon entering the guild, Leon immediately notices a grand statue. The face carved into the stone strikes him with an uncanny sense of familiarity. After studying the statue closely, realization dawns. It is an image of himself. A wave of shock and astonishment sweeps over him at the same moment. The receptionist explains that this is Leon Liberto, the legendary hero who saved the world a century ago by defeating the Demon King. Curiosity sparked in Leon's eyes as he inquired about the reason behind the statue of this particular hero standing in the guild. With genuine enthusiasm, the administrator explains how Leon's statues stand across the globe, celebrated as a hero of all humankind. Though renowned for his extraordinary strength, legends never fail to mention his striking beauty alongside his feats. The lively chatter within the guild slowly fades as Leon steps forward and solemnly announces his desire to become an adventurer. Behind the counter, the receptionist, introducing herself as Shilv, greets him with a warm smile and a spark of curiosity, asking how old he is. Upon learning that the boy was only 12, Shilv remarked with surprise that it seemed far too early to make such a decision. Leon, however, replied with calm assurance he was already a beast tamer and introduced his companion, Sora. The administrator casts a doubtful glance at the slippery companion, uncertain if the profession of tamer truly suits one who seeks glory on the battlefield. She explains that slimes are feeble creatures by nature, and the true potential of the tamer class seldom reveals itself. Achieving the rank of arch-tamer demands years of relentless effort and dedication. Shilv adds that standing out among the tamers from the very beginning is an immense challenge. Yet for those determined to make an attempt, facing the trials is a necessary first step. Leading Leon to the counter, she hands him a form and insists he answer honestly. No embellishments, not even if there are shadows lingering in his past. Still, at his age, such secrets seem highly unlikely. News of the exam scheduled for early tomorrow circulates among the staff. Leon inquires further, eager to discover what kind of trial awaits him this time. The response comes: since he is a tamer, there will likely be a duel with the examiner, a test to see if he can control his beast in the heat of battle. The next day, tension thickens the air around the arena. Looming over the crowd, the formidable examiner Zoraga arrives. His voice is harsh and unwavering as he declares that only the strong will pass, for he has no desire to bury the weak. Zoraga launches into the trial, ruthlessly dispatching every contender in his path. Some collapse under a single blow, while others fall before they even have a chance to react. Sharp criticism pours from him toward the candidates, declaring that wild beasts would easily tear them apart given their lack of preparation. The audience sits stunned, while Leon's mind races ahead, picturing the ordeal awaiting him. At last, Zoraga turns to Leon, inviting him to step onto the arena so his abilities can be assessed. Surprise flickers across his face as he realizes he is confronted by nothing more than a child, one possessing the rare profession of a monster tamer. With a mocking grin, Zoraga remarks that even a stray dog could defeat this little slime. Sora bristles at the insult and steps forward to accept the challenge. The tiny slime radiates determination, refusing to back down. Leon suspects the examiner won't harm the slime, but the other participants mock him, claiming he has no chance of passing with such a partner. The taunts begin to wear on Zoraga's patience. Viewing the slime as an enemy did not come naturally to him, yet duty demanded it. Nearby, Sora arched into a battle stance, every muscle tensed in preparation for the imminent fight. Without warning, Sora lunges forward, launching a swift and forceful attack. The sheer power of the blow forces Zoraga to retreat. Even he is taken aback by the surprising reaction of the slime. Zoraga launches a counterattack, but Sora slips past every strike with effortless skill. The examiner shouts in fury, bewildered that this slime has become such a formidable adversary. Each strike misses its target. Suddenly, Sora lands a blow to the chest, forcing Zoragu to stagger backward. Whispers ripple through the audience as realization dawns. Control of the battle has shifted entirely to the slime. In silent disbelief, Leon watched, unable to trust what his own eyes revealed. What unfolded before him defied all ordinary comprehension. Curiosity grips him as he checks Sora's status, only to freeze in place, utterly stunned by what he sees. Power rated at B, stamina at A, and all remaining attributes also reaching B. Such stats are remarkable for a creature of this class. Leon wonders whether all slimes possess such strength, or if his companion is a unique exception. Meanwhile, Sora maintains his advantage, effortlessly dodging every incoming attack. Drained of all strength, Zoraga collapses, finally conceding defeat. Memories surface for Leon, reminding him that companions draw their power from their master's mana. Meanwhile, Sora celebrates the hard-won victory with bright, unabashed joy. The audience sits in stunned silence, struggling to comprehend how a mere mass of slime managed to defeat such a seasoned warrior. Bewilderment clouds Zoraga's face as he tries to make sense of what has just unfolded. Leon approaches to check the exam results. Sprawled on the ground, Zoraga confesses that he passed the test with flying colors. Struck by surprise, Zoraga admits that although the slime's victory baffles him, there's no denying the outcome. Yet, with a knowing tone, he advises Leon to seek allies. A lone beast cannot always escape danger. News of the successful exam leaves Shilva genuinely astonished. After all, Zoraga has a reputation as one of the guild's most demanding examiners. An even deeper surprise fills her as she reads the comment. The candidate outperformed the examiner. Leon quietly acknowledges Sora's effort, then, quite unexpectedly, turns to Shilv with a single question. Leon inquired about the existence of an SSS rank, The receptionist responded with a sigh, explaining that, while the rank officially existed, reaching it was nearly impossible. To earn an SSS rank, one must single-handedly defeat a formidable creature such as a behemoth. No adventurer has ever dared attempt such a feat or lived to tell the tale. Although Leon is surprised, he doesn't see it as anything extraordinary. Curiosity growing, he asks what it takes to reach the SS rank. The administrator explains that the highest current rank is S. To achieve this level, one must defeat a catastrophe-class threat, such as a red dragon. Only a rare handful of seekers have ever reached such heights. Leon wonders why everything seems so insignificant now. It is explained to him that during the era of the Demon King, the threats were far greater, so heroes of SS or even SSS rank appeared more frequently. With the Demon King's demise, his mana faded away, leaving the beasts weakened and stripping heroes of their powers. The world settled into peace, though at the cost of losing its challenges. Humanity's pace of progress slowed, making it harder to gain new experiences. Yet Leon accepts this changed reality with quiet composure, untroubled by fear or disappointment. Receiving a guild card marked with an E rank and a companion token, the young man now held the means for Sora to move freely throughout the city without drawing unwanted attention. The girl emphasizes that losing the card would mean having to pay for it. As for the token, she jokes about possibly sticking it into the slime. Without a moment's hesitation, Sora declares she wants to wear it right on top of her head. Leon carefully places the token, his movements deliberate and precise. As he does, Sylve watches the moment unfold with quiet admiration. Soon after, Leon makes his way to the quest board, drawing the attention of other adventurers who observe him with growing curiosity. Lost in his list of quests, Leon suddenly notices approaching footsteps. The sound belongs to a girl whose presence instantly draws all attention his way. Two smiling adventuresses approach and immediately suggest setting off together on a new journey. Leon observes them with interest, though he takes his time before responding. Recognition flashes across his face as he realizes who they are. These are the very girls he rescued from the thugs not long ago. The girl with the long hair is Sarah, accompanied by her childhood friend Yuri. Their faces light up as they greet each other, the joy in their voices reminiscent of a reunion with an old companion. The girls shared tales of overcoming their trials, suggesting they form a team and begin their adventures side by side. Leon considers the situation carefully. Sora possesses great strength, yet setting out on a journey alone always carries dangers. With allies by his side, the adventure could become much safer and more promising. After a brief moment of consideration, he chooses to join them, sensing a quiet trust blossoming between himself and the two girls. Yuri admits that forming a girls' team made her a bit uneasy. As the only women in the guild, they often attract unwanted attention. She explains that kind words often conceal hidden intentions, so at first, everyone remained cautious. Later, Yuri selects one of the tasks and turns to Leon for his opinion. An F-rank quest presents itself. Eliminate the kobolds spilling out from the forest. For a beginner, this task strikes her as the perfect way to start. Leon and Sarah immediately embrace the idea, so the team chooses this task as their starting point, marking the first step toward a new chapter in their lives. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, not a single trace of kobolds could be found. An unnatural silence hung in the air, hinting that something was amiss. Memories swirl in Leon's mind as he recalls the administrator's stern warning. Forest assignments are strictly off-limits. That area, she cautioned, is far too perilous and must be avoided at all costs. While the debate over entering the forest continues, Leon whistles a calm tune. Meanwhile, Yuri notices a large shape shifting in the shadows. Thunderous footsteps echo from the undergrowth as a horde of kobolds suddenly bursts forth, charging at them with wild, frenzied speed. Panic sweeps through the girls, while Leon remains calm, surveying the scene and calculating that with so many trophies, each person would get a single coin. Yuri shouts in protest, insisting this is no time for counting money. They need to escape. A kobold lunges at Sarah with lightning speed, giving her only a moment to realize escape is no longer an option. Determined to fight, Yuri set her sights on the enemy, tension flickering in her posture. Leon watched closely, wondering if nerves from this first mission were to blame for her intensity. Without hesitation, she surged forward to attack, while Sora readied himself for battle just behind her. Sword in hand, Yuri charges forward with Sora at her side. Sarah joins them, and together, the trio pushes back the enemy forces. Meanwhile, Leon stays behind, shielded by the protective barrier of the slime. Maintaining his distance, Leon observes the battle with keen attention. His calm gaze suggests he has already foreseen how the conflict will unfold. The battle intensifies as the Dragonkin duo surges forward, launching a relentless offensive. Blow after blow, Momentum shifts into the hands of the newly formed team. Yuri charges forward, slashing through the enemy, while the slime hurls the kobold aside. At the same moment, Sora chants a spell, conjuring an explosion of flames that sweeps across the battlefield and drives back a horde of monsters. Despite their seamless teamwork, the overwhelming number of enemies forces the heroes into isolation as kobolds close in from all sides, pushing each of them to fight on their own. Without a moment's hesitation, Sora plunges into the thick of the battle, seizing the initiative and determined to hold the line while the others remain uncertain. A sudden attack leaves Yuri paralyzed with shock, while Leon, unfazed, calmly strides forward. His remarkable composure captivates Sora, who can't tear her eyes away from him. Amidst the girl's frantic screams, Leon remains perfectly composed. Almost as an afterthought, he notices he left his sword behind and quietly chides himself with a hint of dry humor for such carelessness. Even unarmed, he remains formidable. With a swift movement, he seizes the kobold barehanded, revealing the might and expertise of a true battle-hardened veteran. With a single, explosive movement, he hoists his foe into the air and slams him forcefully against the ground. In an instant, only the echo of the impact lingers in the silence that follows. The ground splits apart beneath the force of his assault. Unarmed, Leon unleashes a power so formidable that it stirs genuine shock in everyone who witnesses it. Shock fills the girl's eyes as disbelief settles in. The idea that someone could accomplish such a feat with bare hands seems impossible to accept. Surrounded by enemies on all sides, Leon remains unshaken. A kobold grabs his arm, yet not a flicker of pain or fear crosses the young man's face. Surrounded on all sides, the young man remains as immovable as a rock, a steely confidence glinting in his eyes. The bewildered girls scramble to explain themselves, insisting it was nothing more than a playful biting game, yet the scene before them carries no trace of humor. Leon calmly announces that his moment to act has arrived, his voice steady and unwavering. With a swift motion, several foes topple to the ground. Each strike lands with lightning-like precision. From a distance, the girls watch intently, unable to avert their gaze. His calm strength becomes a marvel to behold amidst the chaos of the battlefield. Both freeze in utter shock, unable to move. One even pinches herself, desperate to confirm she isn't trapped in a dream. Meanwhile, a soft whistle escapes Leon's lips, drawing the kobolds toward him as if they were well-trained puppies. A pile of defeated foes rests on his shoulders. With a grin, he cracks a joke about this being a fine day for trophies, and then asks if the girls would like to join in as well. A warm smile spreads across Leon's face. Despite handling everything on his own, he promises to split the reward as agreed. His words flow effortlessly, carrying a ring of unquestionable sincerity. Amidst the dense trees, something stirs. Leon's senses sharpen as he spots the source. A kobold. Yet this one stands apart from the usual kind. A figure emerges from the shadows, towering and formidable. Its roar tears through the air, freezing even the most seasoned veterans in their tracks. Terror grips the girls as they raise their eyes, confronted by a creature whose very presence inspires fear. Standing before them is the Lord of the Forest, a colossal kobold possessing a human's cunning. Fury burns in his eyes, and his thunderous voice demands to know who dared to slay his kin. The Kobold King stands as a disaster-class creature, so formidable that even seasoned A-rank explorers struggle to stand against him. Just a single motion from this beast could erase an entire village from existence. Despair sweeps over the girls as they sink to their knees. A single thought echoes in their minds. Their first challenge may also be their last. Tears glisten on their cheeks as silent farewells pass between their hearts and the world they are leaving behind. In these final moments, unspoken apologies drift toward their parents. Among them, one harbored a dream of becoming a heroine, a wish that remained forever unfulfilled. Leon glances at the creature and casually remarks that it's nothing more than an oversized kobold. The girls, overwhelmed by panic, cry out that this is the king. A furious roar bursts from the king as he raises his massive paw, the ground beneath him splintering with the promise of rupture. Anger blazes within his heart, and retribution draws near, inevitable as the breaking earth. The girls desperately try to explain their innocence, but the creature remains deaf to their pleas. The beast lunges forward, preparing to deliver a fatal blow. As the Kobold King's fist hurtles toward the girls, a boy with golden hair appears out of nowhere, catching the blow with his bare hand. With calm composure, he asks if they are all right. Stunned into silence, the girls stared at the young man, unable to believe what their eyes were witnessing. Maintaining a composed expression, he assures them that everything is under control, while the girls anxiously insist that this is no ordinary monster. They are facing the Kobold King. The beast recoils, both startled and bewildered. unable to comprehend why this young man shows no fear of its might. With overwhelming force, the young man strikes with his palm, sending his enemy flying and carving a deep crater into the earth. Nervous laughter bubbles up among the girls, as if they can't believe what's happening feels real. Meanwhile, the kobold, shaking uncontrollably, tries to escape but collapses unconscious before making it far. With a casual shrug, the young man admits his arm aches a little. He mentions he managed to defeat his enemies. Though the girls agree, they both realize they lack the strength to carry the bodies. With a gentle smile, the young man reassures her and gestures towards something behind his back. Several kobolds emerge from the shadows, staggering and barely clinging to life, leaving the girls visibly shaken by the unexpected sight. One of the kobolds rises to its feet. One of the girls rushes into her friend's arms, refusing to accept what is happening. The young man calmly removes his cloak, his expression betraying no hint of concern. A mere touch from him causes creatures to vanish into swirling clouds of smoke, dissolving without a trace. The young man calmly states that the reward will be split evenly. One of the girls, astonished by his composure, remarks that his calmness is truly unreal. At the guild, a staff member greets them with a warm smile and asks how their first adventure went. The employee instantly senses that something is amiss. Unbothered, the young man replies that everything is just fine. The girls can barely keep themselves upright, their eyes hollow and bodies drained of strength. One of them manages to whisper that she has no idea what happened. The boy simply comments that they managed to defeat a great number of kobolds. In response to the demand for proof, the young man calmly reached into his bag and began pulling out the bodies of fallen enemies, casting them one after another onto the floor. Panic swept through the guild staff as they witnessed the grisly display. Creatures emerge one after another, steadily piling up on the counter. The stack grows taller as the employee pleads desperately for it all to stop. When asked about the number, he replies calmly, around 50. The answer leaves everyone around him frozen in shock. An infuriated worker scolds them for venturing into the forest, reminding them that they had been warned not to go there. Amid the bodies, an old kobold catches her eye. The boy insists honestly that they never entered the forest, but the worker remains skeptical. Kobolds would never leave their hiding places on their own. The girls trailing behind him move like silent shadows, worn out and on the verge of collapse. Eventually, the employee gives a tired wave, signaling that it's time to head to the back rooms. She leads everyone in that direction. As they traveled, she asked where he had gotten so many bodies. With casual ease, the young man replied that they came from his item box. Curiosity sparkles in her eyes as she asks again if such a rare treasure truly belongs to him. From that chest emerges a towering pile of bodies, reaching all the way to the ceiling. The worker stands frozen, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes are witnessing. With wide-eyed wonder, she asks how everything managed to fit inside. The boy explains with a shrug that the chest is small because the sack was cheap. He couldn't afford anything better. Astonishment flickers across her face as she explains that only the most powerful magicians are capable of crafting such artifacts, making them a nearly unattainable rarity on the market. Even the most basic chests command the price of an entire wagon, while those of finer craftsmanship are valued at truly astonishing sums. She tries to convince herself that perhaps she misunderstood something, for otherwise the whole thing seems like complete nonsense. In the midst of the scattered bodies, the figure of the kobold king catches her eye. Fear freezes her blood. Such a creature lives only in legends, and only a chosen few possess the strength to defeat one. Could it truly be this boy? Behind them, the girls nod hurriedly, confirming that it is indeed him. The employee's gaze shifts involuntarily to the peculiar slime, and a sense of awe sweeps over her. Every fiber of her being recognizes that this creature is something truly extraordinary. Calm radiated from the worker's face, making it clear that Leon's victory over the monsters came as no surprise to her. Meanwhile, the girls in the background relived the terror all over again. Astonished by the sheer scale of his haul, she requests that Leon return the following day, explaining she needs time to assess everything. With a wry smile, he admits he might have overdone it and asks how much such an excess might be worth. The following day, the worker hands him a sack of gold as a reward for all the materials he had delivered. Among the defeated, a total of 56 kobolds lie motionless, including their king and 4 elders. Each body remains in perfect condition. The tally leaves Leon astonished, yet the woman assures him it is the natural outcome of a skill level beyond even that of seasoned adventurers. Leon receives a D rank, setting a new record for the guild. Sarah and Yuri both earn promotions as well, advancing to E rank. A lingering bitterness remains in the hearts of the girls, convinced they failed to be of any real help. Yet despite those feelings, they still receive sincere congratulations. Leon hands each person a bag filled with their share of gold, honoring the agreement they made at the outset to split the reward equally. The girls initially shy away, politely declining, yet confronted with his persistence, they eventually relent and agree. With a gentle smile, the decision is made to entrust their money to the guild for safekeeping. With newfound gold in hand, Leon decides it's time to upgrade his gear. Despite his skill in hand-to-hand combat, a wary sense warns him. The next enemy may prove even more formidable. Accompanied by the slime, he makes his way down through the city. Bustling streets slip by as markets and shops come into view, each corner brimming with vibrant life. Amazement filled him as the city revealed its transformation over the past century. Crowds surged, vibrant noise pulsed in the air, and a dazzling variety surrounded him, everything fresh and intriguing. Slipping on the gloves, she feels their sturdy fabric mold perfectly to her hands. The fit is comfortable and secure, a flawless choice. After thanking the shopkeeper, he moves on. The slime bounces along at his side, happily taking in the sights around them. After purchasing the clothes, Leon weaves a layer of protective magic into the fabric. A magical shield, resistance to the elements, self-cleaning, and even self-repairing abilities. This remarkable set includes everything. With his gear packed, Leon heads toward the blacksmith. The vendor's eyes widen in surprise as Leon's clothing shimmers with a magical glow. The weapon shop offers nothing impressive. Everything seems either too plain or of questionable quality. A weary sigh escapes Leon, who would much rather settle things with his bare fists than risk handling such a perilous weapon. Despite the disappointment, bargaining continues with the blacksmith, refusing to give in. The slime offers encouragement, suggesting that a skilled blacksmith always knows exactly what a true hero needs. In the heart of the forge, a female blacksmith steps forward, her presence commanding attention. She declares she forges only those swords that truly inspire her. The client, frustrated by her refusal, loses his temper and turns aggressive, attempting to force her into working against her will. The moment he lunges forward, the blacksmith deftly twists aside and sends the brash challenger crashing to the floor with a well-placed punch. Sword raised, calm composure settles over her face as her gaze turns icy and unyielding. A silent warning lingers in her eyes. Disrespect finds no foothold here. The assailant retreats, murmurs an apology, and vanishes into the shadows while the craftswoman turns to Leon, her eyes filled with contempt. Her eyes sweep over the sword she crafted herself, lingering on every curve and edge, no detail overlooked. Among everything in the forge, this blade stands out with its dazzling sharpness and unrivaled quality. The weapon clearly bore the mark of a true master's craftsmanship. Captivated by the scene before him, Leon politely addresses the blacksmith, while the slime glides silently at his side, observing and recording everything Leon experiences. Fixing his gaze on her with unflinching confidence, Leon immediately requests a sword to be forged for him. Caught off guard, the master smith repeats his words, taken aback by his boldness and self-assured manner. Meanwhile, the slime watches with keen interest, its curiosity flowing through Leon's eyes. An unexpected gravity flickers in the blacksmith's eyes. Before him stands a youth, nearly a child, who speaks with unwavering confidence, direct and utterly unafraid. Such determination unsettles and disarms. Zeta abruptly demands that he leave, turning away with an air of finality, as if unwilling to hear any explanations. Leon silently watches her, while the slime perched on his head closely observes her every move. Though told to leave, the young man strolls into the workshop with calm assurance and surveys the room as if it belongs to him. Frustration pours from her voice as she shouts that forging a sword for a child is out of the question. Leon, unfazed and calm, claims he listened carefully to every word she said. Just as he is about to leave, Leon suddenly asks for whom she would agree to forge a sword. The question shifts the entire direction of their conversation. A realization dawns on Zeta. This is no ordinary young man standing before her. Not even her most extreme threats could make him flinch. Curious, she introduces herself as a blacksmith. In response, Leon reveals he is a D-rank adventurer. The fact that someone so young has already reached that rank leaves her visibly impressed. At last, Zeta musters the courage to offer a truthful answer to his question. She declares that her swords are reserved solely for the worthy, a rule that admits no exceptions. Leon offers no argument, simply inquiring if she has ever forged with a material superior to mithril. The sudden mention of adamantite, the legendary metal, caught her off guard. Surprise flickered across her face, impossible to conceal. Leon explains calmly that, in his previous life, several adamantite swords had been in his possession. If necessary, he would be able to find one again. Zeta explains that these metals are exceptionally rare, almost impossible to obtain. Leon simply shrugs, convinced they will appear in the deeper levels of the dungeons. With irritation coloring her voice, she asks if he has lost his mind. The boy, however, remains unmoved. Zeta lets out a resigned sigh, realizing that convincing him is hopeless. In the end, a gentle smile crosses her lips as she agrees to join his mission. Determined to witness his true worth, she intends to judge for herself whether he deserves her blade. Their journey leads them to the perilous Gadak dungeon, hidden away in the northern reaches. This place resembles a true labyrinth of death, where every descent brings more terrifying monsters. The furthest anyone has ventured is the 20th floor. Even on the 20th floor, the likelihood of discovering valuable material remains slim. Leon calmly declares that they must proceed to the 30th. For him, this is just the beginning. Zeta stands stunned, taken aback by his icy, unflinching attitude. One of the companions remarks that reaching the 30th floor is out of the question. Leon smiles and says the 10th floor is enough since Mithril sometimes appears even there. Observing Zeta closely, he realizes she is far more than a simple blacksmith. Years of childhood training have gifted her with expert swordsmanship. In truth, she is a masterful warrior who forges weapons and wields them with equal skill. Reaching the 12th floor on her own marked an achievement reserved for only the most determined. The city holds her in high esteem. Every gesture she makes, the way she speaks, even her appearance carries a bold, masculine edge that draws many girls toward her. The arrival of these creatures sends panic rippling through Zeta. Into the arena strides a black minotaur, a monstrous being with enough power to obliterate an entire city. In front of him stands a hulking troll, while behind lurks a two-headed serpent. A cry of terror rises from her chest. Leon watches with composure, puzzled by the intensity of her fear. Zeta's hands begin to tremble as the tension builds. A stark realization settles within her, recognizing the overwhelming disparity of power. No one could quite explain how they ended up this deep, but Leon effortlessly dispatched the monsters in his path, methodically take them down one after another without a flicker of emotion. A glance at her serves as a reminder. This remains only the easiest stretch of the journey. According to him, the deeper you dig, the greater your chances of uncovering adamantite. Hearing about an even deeper descent, Zeta freezes in place. Escape becomes the only thought swirling in her mind. Meanwhile, Leon strides forward with unwavering determination. Zeta admits with genuine admiration that, with such overwhelming strength, he has no need for her craftsmanship. Even an ordinary shop-bought saber would be enough to defeat a dragon when wielded by him. The young man reveals his sword, battered and dulled beyond use. Chips run along the blade's edge and its surface is worn smooth. Ordinary weapons, he explains, simply can't endure. They wear out with alarming speed. Even Zeta finds this difficult to believe. The blade snaps clean in half, and she stares at him in disbelief, demanding to know what he intends to fight with now. Leon simply shrugs, unconcerned, making it clear he has no need for a spare sword. A single blow is all it takes to bring down the monster. Zeta, stunned, exclaims in disbelief. The battle was won without a sword. Such power is beyond belief. The group steadily advances through the winding tunnels, each step echoing their determination. Leon observes that they've already covered quite a distance. His gaze remains calm and measured, reflecting quiet confidence. Zeta wavers on unsteady legs, utterly drained. The boy glances at her and asks if she's all right. Despite her haggard appearance, she nods in reply. Catching her response, he offers a warm smile and suggests it's time for lunch. Leon suddenly chooses to set up camp and have a meal right on the cold stone floor deep within the dungeon. Surprise flickers across Zeta's face. Her astonishment only grows as the boy produces a complete meal seemingly out of nowhere. A suspicion takes root in her mind. Perhaps he possesses an enchanted chest or a secret compartment. With practiced hands, he arranges the gathered branches and kindles a fire, moving with the ease of someone preparing a meal in their own kitchen, rather than deep within a labyrinth. Two pots quickly find their place on the stove, one filled with pasta gently bubbling away, while the other simmers with a hearty mix of vegetables and meat. Every movement radiates careful precision and quiet confidence. After tasting the food, a satisfied smile spreads across his face. The girl, clearly impressed, asks if he also happens to be a chef. For him, cooking appears to be an everyday affair. With effortless grace, he offers her a serving. Wordlessly, the girl accepts it, uncertain how she should respond. Feigning indifference, she remarks that dining in a place like this seems rather undignified. Leon responds with a slight smile, his voice laced with irony as he asks, Is that so? With unhurried grace, he savors each bite, his calm demeanor unshaken. The dish before him suggests a true delicacy. He remarks on its unsurpassed flavor, while Zeta observes in silent contemplation. Frozen in place, confusion etched across her face, she clutches her empty stomach. Noticing her distress, Leon gently asks what's wrong. After a moment's hesitation, she timidly asks for a bit of food. Embarrassment lingers, yet curiosity and hunger quietly outweigh her shame. A small bite brings everything to a halt. Wide eyes reflect the shock of an extraordinary flavor. Amazement flickers across her face as she admits, never had she expected such luxury to exist underground. Upon reaching the 33rd floor, they encounter an area overrun with monsters. Zeta suggests taking a safer detour, but Leon remains resolute, insisting this path is the shortest and revealing he had intended to follow it from the very start. A horde of monsters loomed before them. Leon allowed himself a confident smile. Facing such danger unarmed felt a touch reckless, even by his standards. Nearby, Zeta trembled with panic, utterly convinced that Leon had lost his mind. Despite being barely restrained, he remains composed and teases her about the sweat on her forehead. Each remark fuels her anger even more. Monsters surge forward. Although uncertainty flickers in the girl's eyes, Exiled steps forward with determination, promising to handle the situation. Leon mentions that he will resort to magic, recognizing that they face not a mere skirmish but an all-out assault. Stunned, Zeta realized that he possessed magic, a revelation that turned her entire understanding upside down. Leon summons the infernal flame, and a blazing whirlwind erupts around him. The girl stares in disbelief, struggling to grasp what she is witnessing. A powerful spell reduces everything to smoldering ruins, leaving the dungeon engulfed in flames. Leon invokes the mythic flood, and torrents of water cascade over everything, subduing the flames at last. Fire vanishes beneath the surging current. Gazing out over the flooded cavern, they watch as water streams down the rough, shadowed walls, leaving behind only the distant sound of the storm's fading echoes. Leon glances at Zeta, curiosity flickering in his eyes as he wonders why she has stopped. A gentle smile spreads across his face while he gestures for her to follow him. Still overwhelmed by what she has experienced, Zeta remains silent, unable to find the right words. A strange rumble echoes from the depths of the tunnel, as if something enormous and terrifying is awakening. Deep within the dungeon's core, a gigantic dragon bursts forth from beneath the stone. Its scales shimmer in the dim light, and with a thunderous voice, it demands to know who dares disturb its eternal slumber. The dragon stirs from its slumber, sensing foreign mana swirling in the air. The energy seeps through its scales, stirring old memories and arising unease. A faint remembrance lingers of someone who once brought such power. A figure materializes, radiating such overwhelming strength that even the earth begins to tremble. An oppressive and powerful aura surrounds this presence. Fury burns in the dragon's eyes, every wound of humiliation still fresh in his memory. The insult carves so deeply into his flesh that it will never fade. The dragon's keen gaze tracks the golden-haired youth, studying every subtle movement. A gentle smile lingers on the boy's lips, completely unaware of the impending danger that looms nearby. Upon reaching the 40th floor, the team comes to a halt. The young man presses his hand against the wall, a strange sensation tingling under his palm. Without a moment's hesitation, he strikes forcefully at the suspicious spot. The girl flinches, startled by his sudden and inexplicable action. In the cramped hideout, Adam is swiftly discovered, much to Zeta's surprise. The sharpness of his instincts is nothing short of remarkable. The suggestion to stay and explore this level leaves the girl stunned. While dreams of escape had filled her mind, he found himself swept up by a surge of curiosity. Leon appears, his hands overflowing with adamantite. A smile plays on his lips as he declares there is enough to forge 100 swords. Zeta responds with a weary nod. At his suggestion to move on, exhaustion overwhelms her so completely that her request for a brief rest barely escapes her lips. Seated in the quiet, Leon reviews his stats and feels a surge of satisfaction as he notices how quickly his level has risen. A new chapter begins. His abilities have reached SS rank, and several of his professions have already attained level 20. Power stirs within him once more. Sora has evolved, now reaching level 64 with remarkable stats. Even seasoned warriors would be taken aback by such impressive attributes. Leon cracks a joke, saying that with Sora's determination, she might end up defeating the Demon King himself. Sliz immediately strikes a heroic pose, demonstrating yet another skill she has picked up. Leon explained that they were in the safe zone on the 40th floor, a place where monsters rarely ventured. During lunch, he notices that Sora appears especially calm in this place. Perhaps the local animals avoid this territory, or maybe they are born directly within the maze itself. Leon inquires if Zeta has managed to get some rest. With a brief nod, she rises to her feet and simply says, "Yes." A fierce roar shatters the silence. Terror seizes Zeta, driving her to flee without looking back. Leon stands his ground, calm and composed, instantly grasping that every monster has set its sights on them. The thunderous approach of 500 monsters sent a tremor of anxiety through Zeta. Panic began to rise within. Leon remains calm, explaining that even within this safe zone, anomalous creatures occasionally appear. When she expresses hope for his protection, he responds with a cool and distant, "Perhaps." The sight of the monstrous horde overwhelms Zeta, sending her spiraling into a fit of hysteria. Uncontrollable laughter bursts from her lips as she loses all sense of composure. In a frenzy, she proclaims that 500 monsters are nothing. Even 10,000 would fall before her. Leon silently realizes that something inside her is broken. Sora receives the task of guarding Zeta, who, lost in a peaceful slumber, remains blissfully unaware of the looming danger drawing ever closer. The mage conjures a powerful spell, determined to thin out the horde of monsters closing in on their shelter. Panic erupts within the Badaka Guild as Bors seethes with rage, slamming his fist against the table. The sudden news of the dungeon's conquest has caught everyone off guard. The dungeons once stood as the heart of all profit, offering not just wealth, but renown and power to those bold enough to explore them. Now, however, that legacy of riches and glory teetered on the brink of collapse. The guild suffered tremendous losses, leaving Bors seething with anger. The culprit remains unknown, with not a single local hero among the suspects. For the independent seeker, facing disgrace awaits. The guild has spent years striving to conquer these depths. The door swings open abruptly. A subordinate enters the office and immediately announces that the investigation is complete. Hardly any information exists. No one knows the identity of the one who conquered the dungeon. Whispers drift among the adventurers, and it is these rumors that may hold the key. Guildmaster Bors insists on hearing every detail. His subordinate awkwardly confesses that all the rumors seem to point to a boy. Bors, taken aback, repeats the word as if unable to believe it. Rumor has it that the boy is just 12 years old, having only recently set foot in the world of adventure. Bors can hardly believe what he's hearing. How could a child possibly conquer the dungeon? Another senior guard offers only a shrug. The whole tale sounds too fantastical, leaving it to linger as nothing more than a rumor. The moment they recall his victory over a C-rank adventurer during the exam, along with his defeat of the Kobold King on his very first assignment, even Bors finds it impossible to overlook the gravity of the situation. While exploring the underground passages, the merchants recalled a boy who matched the description and had recently purchased a sword. At first, Bors suspects someone is making a joke. However, the moment he hears mention of the sword, he slams his fist on the table and orders his men to find the boy and bring him immediately. Meanwhile, the same boy strolls leisurely along the path, hands clasped behind his head, while a cheerful round creature floats happily by his side. Lost in thought, he remains blissfully unaware of the commotion breaking out behind him. His mind drifts instead to thoughts of which city he might explore next. On his way to the city of Melissa, the young man effortlessly dispatches minor monsters along the path, treating each encounter as if it were nothing more than a playful exercise. Suddenly, his gaze settles on a peculiar cave. An unsettling feeling stirs within him, yet curiosity proves stronger, urging him to come closer. Rather than sensing menace, a faint and fragile presence stirs within the cave. The boy's companion watches closely as he gathers his resolve and steps inside. Crouching low, the boy slips through the narrow passage. Before entering, he asks Sora to stay on guard. She bounces nervously on her feet, her eyes following him as he disappears from sight. In the darkness, a slimy creature crosses his path. Surprisingly harmless, the slug not only poses no threat but also strikes up a conversation. With curiosity glinting in his eyes, the young man inquires if anyone else is present. His voice carries a gentle yet unwavering confidence. A shadowy figure slowly emerges from the darkness ahead. Someone has been watching intently and now finally steps forward, leaving the shadows to stand face to face. Two beastkin children come into view. One lies motionless on the ground, while the other stands guard before her, bravely shielding her friend's body. The younger one appears exhausted and wounded, barely able to stand. The other, with fists clenched in determination, remains resolute despite her own weariness. Trying to calm their nerves, the young man gestures toward the slime, explaining that this is Sora, his trusted ally. He assures them she poses no danger. Fury flashes in the beastman's eyes as he bares his teeth, retreating a step and forbidding any closer approach. Observing the unwavering resolve burning in the beastkin boy's eyes, the hero senses the moment to act has arrived. There is no room left for retreat. A command is issued to Sora to restrain the boy. In response, the slime releases its tendrils, which swiftly coil around him, locking every limb in place. The beast boy thrashes and screams, but all resistance proves futile. The hero steps closer to the wounded girl and gently touches her forehead. The chill of her skin reveals that life has already slipped away. Despair claws at the prisoner ensnared by Sora's web, a cry torn from the deepest well of suffering, unable to accept the weight of loss. The young man maintains his composure, fully aware that hope remains. Focusing his mind, he places his hand gently and quietly utters the incantation for resurrection. A shaft of light brushes against the girl. Her body trembles, then her eyes slowly open. She returns from the brink of death. A gentle radiance wraps around her body, casting a soft glow. Her chest rises with each breath, and her eyelids quiver. Gradually she awakens, gazing about in confusion. The hero not only brought her back to life but also healed every wound she had suffered. In silence the girl gazes at him, words failing her as she tries to grasp what has just happened. Sora inches closer to her. The girl watches the scene unfold, surprise flickering in her eyes. Thoughts race through her mind, yet comprehension slips just out of reach. The hero realizes they all need a break. Reaching out, he gently touches the beastkin boy, who drifts into a deep, carefree sleep. With gentle care, the two are covered under a single blanket, cocooned in silence so they can quietly recover from everything they've endured. While the children take a break, Leon decides to use his unique ability to scan their attributes. Both just 5 years old, these feline therianthropes belong to the second stage of development. Though their strength matches that of typical children, an impressive agility, especially in the girl, sets them apart. The resemblance leaves no doubt they are brother and sister. As Leon watched them sleep, his thoughts wandered. Despite their youth, their physical abilities were remarkable. Surviving alone in the untamed forest must have taken extraordinary skill. Curiosity stirred within him, wondering what circumstances had driven them into such a perilous land. Slowly, the girl opens her eyes. Noticing Leon by her side, she startles in surprise and gazes at him with worry, struggling to recall his identity. As full awareness returns, tension ripples through her body and suspicion ignites in her eyes. She rushes to her brother's side, trying desperately to wake him by patting his cheeks. Nothing Leon says manages to calm her racing thoughts. Despite Sora's attempts to explain that they were the ones who rescued them, the girl remains unconvinced. Her guard never falters, and she stands ready to defend herself to the very end. Realizing that ordinary words would not be enough, Leon recalled a clown he once knew. A clown who had a rare gift for making anyone laugh, especially children. Inspired by the example of the jester, he chooses humor as his means to earn trust. Now is the moment to reveal that he poses no threat. A smile slowly forms on his lips as a plan takes shape in his mind. Humor, he reasons, will not only distract them, but also ease the tension in the air. Leon pulls exaggerated faces, lifting his eyebrows and contorting his features, doing his best to amuse the little ones. The mood in the room gradually lightens. No reaction follows. Brother and sister simply watch him in silence, their faces expressionless like statues, not a hint of a smile. Confusion washes over the boy as he wonders where he went wrong. Undeterred, he launches into a bizarre dance, twisting his body in strange, exaggerated ways. The children's faces quiver, struggling to hold back their laughter. The rhythm quickens. Suddenly, a burst of laughter erupts, quickly followed by another. Right before their eyes, the ice of distrust begins to melt away. The silly dance finally dissolves the tension in the room. Laughter spills from the children, bright and genuine. Leon smiles in relief, confident that a connection has been made. Later, he prepares dinner for them. Brother and sister eat eagerly, their eyes shining with happiness as for the first time they feel safe. Despite the delicious meal, a flicker of doubt lingers in their eyes. Leon offers a gentle smile, quietly assuring them that everything is safe and free of poison. Slowly, the children begin to relax and finish their food. They immediately ask for more. Smiles grow broader and gratitude brightens their eyes. A genuine sense of trust appears in their gaze for the first time. After dinner, Leon introduces himself as a traveler, sharing a bit about his journey. Once the tension eases and everyone is calmer, he gently inquires how such young children happen to be alone in the forest. The children exchange meaningful glances, their hands clasped tightly. Their hesitation hangs in the air. a silent echo of pain that hints at a difficult past. According to their stories, slavery began for them in early childhood. Parents remained distant strangers, never seen or known. Names were a mystery they never discovered. Each day of youth blurred into an unbroken chain of hardship and wandering. Gifted with extraordinary abilities, they became subjects of exploitation, forced into relentless labor. During a transport through the forest, a monstrous creature attacked their wagon. All the others perished. Only they survived, and from that day on, their long journey of survival began. Together they faced the world alone. Silent and attentive, Leon listens, his eyes shimmering with empathy. The scars marring the children's bodies speak more powerfully than any words could. Their skin remembers every blow. Resolve sharpens in his eyes, a silent vow not to let them suffer again. Noticing that the children have regained some composure, he suggests they follow him to a place where tranquility awaits. A gentle smile spreads across Leon's face as he assures them that everything will be all right now. Safety surrounds them at last. He declares that with Sora by his side, no monster stands a chance against them. His unwavering confidence wraps around the children like a protective shield. The forest stirs, and a gigantic beast emerges before them. Its growl sends a wave of fear through the children. Yet Leon stands calm and composed, unfazed by the creature's appearance. Wrapping his arms gently around the children, he encourages them to simply watch, soothing them with the promise that there is nothing to fear. Now is the moment to prove that his words have never been empty. Sora darts ahead, vanquishing the monster with a single, decisive blow. The children stand in stunned silence while Leon allows himself a quiet, satisfied smile. Wasting no time, he effortlessly lifts them into his arms. A new journey awaits ahead, yet now they walk it together. With astonishing speed, Leon darts forward, slicing through the tangled undergrowth like a gust of wind. The children in his grasp have no time to react, left awestruck by the sheer power and determination that drive him onward. As Leon moves through the dense forest, a wild boar bursts from the undergrowth and charges straight at him. The hulking beast barrels forward with unstoppable force, leaving no path open for escape. Without a moment's hesitation, Leon raises his hand and unleashes a fire spell. A blazing arrow slices through the air with a sharp whistle, speeding straight for its target. The fiery strike lands squarely on the boar, knocking it off its feet and engulfing its body in flames. Clutched tightly in protective arms, one of the little ones whispers in awe, eyes wide with amazement at the power of their rescuer. At last, the forest's edge comes into view. Near the border of the trees, Leon spots two weary men struggling to remain upright. Among the group, one man catches sight of the children and his face drains of color, overtaken by shock. Disbelief fills his gaze as he struggles to accept that these two have survived. Recognition flickers in his eyes, hinting at a past connection. The children instantly huddle together, trembling with fear. Pulling back his hood, the man reveals himself as the children's former mentor, a ruthless slave trader. His face twists with fury as he bursts into rage, shouting accusations and blaming them for running away and causing so much trouble. Enraged, he reaches for his whip and orders the children to come closer. Leon watches in silence, but when the wood in his hand snaps with a sharp crack, it becomes clear that he will not tolerate this any longer. Leon steps forward, placing himself squarely between the children and the slaver, his eyes brimming with contempt. His stance alone makes it clear, there is no turning back for them now. His unwavering gaze fixed, Leon asks directly what the slaver plans to do with the children. The slave trader, brimming with aggression, demands the return of his so-called property, but Leon simply tightens his hold around the children, making it clear that he has no intention of surrendering them. The slave trader stood tall, insisting on his rightful authority over the children and claiming the power to punish them as he saw fit. Indignation blazed in his eyes. Leon calmly inquires about the evidence, his voice steady and unyielding. If those children are truly your slaves, then present the proof. The little ones gather close behind him, finding real protection for the first time in their lives. Words no longer suffice. The slave trader confidently insists that the marks of slavery are there. Just look at their hands. Yet as everyone turns their gaze, an unexpected sight awaits them. The marks of slavery vanished without a trace. Wonder and confusion flickered in the children's eyes. Only Leon remained calm, already certain that the bond had been broken. With unwavering composure, Leon reveals the children's hands. The slave trader's face drains of color. There are no marks at all. A wave of panic overtakes him. Leon demands to know what right the slaver has to punish them if they aren't even his. The slaver seethes with anger, yet cannot produce any proof. The authority he once wielded crumbles before everyone's eyes. Leon reveals his secret. He used the Thief King's technique known as plunder. With this forbidden art, he seized the slave contract, granting the children their long-awaited freedom. Though the method is outlawed, desperation left him with no other choice. Outrage surges through the slave trader as he bellows accusations of theft, mustering what little strength remains within him. Driven by vengeance, he channels his final reserves of energy into a desperate bid for retaliation. Leon swiftly nullifies any chance his attacker has, ensnaring him with a single motion as an icy spell freezes the threat in place, halting the assault before it can begin. A steely voice cuts through the tension, his eyes cold as ice. The blame for the attack lies squarely on his shoulders, and now he must face the consequences. The slave trader remains rooted to the spot, lost in despair and confusion. With practiced ease, Leon knocks out his opponent with a single precise blow, never sparing a backward glance. Turning to the children, he quietly asks if they are ready to move on. Both nod in silent agreement. At long last, freedom is within their grasp. The towering walls of a great city appear on the horizon, growing clearer with every step. 3 travelers make their way slowly toward the city gates. At the gate, a guard greets them and, with visible surprise, asks if these children are traveling alone, without any adults accompanying them. Leon presents his D-rank traveler identification, his confidence, and the official document immediately earning the soldiers' respect. The guards eventually let them through, albeit with some confusion lingering in the air. Yet, to Leon's astonishment, this was not Melissa. Instead, the city bore the name Liberto. Seeking clarity, he asks again how such a name came to be. As it turns out, the city now bears the name of the legendary hero Leon Liberto, who saved these lands from the Demon King a century ago. Astonishment settled over Leon as he discovered a city bearing his name. The realization that his actions had carved such a profound mark on history was something he had never imagined. Eager eyes take in the city, flourishing and alive with movement and voices. Over the course of a century, it has transformed into a magnificent stronghold of life. Confronted with a new reality, Leon turns to the children and inquires about their dreams for the days ahead. Aware that countless opportunities have now unfolded before them, the children gaze at each other in silence. Freedom hangs in the air, unfamiliar and fresh. They have yet to learn what it means to live without fear. The future remains uncertain, yet for the first time it does not appear frightening. Leon reminds the children that slavery has ended. Now their fate rests entirely in their own hands. Yet uncertainty still lingers in their eyes, as if true belief in their newfound freedom eludes them and fear holds back their first steps. A thought crosses his mind about leaving the children in a shelter for a while. He can see how overwhelming it is for them to grasp their new reality. The world of freedom still feels far beyond their reach. Eyes shining and cheeks streaked with tears, the children plead with Leon, begging him not to leave. Their heartfelt sincerity softens even the hardest resolve. A deep fear of being left alone lingers in their trembling voices as they ask for permission to stay by his side. The unexpected request throws him off balance. For a moment he stands frozen, unable to respond, caught completely off guard by this sudden turn of events. The children, their voices trembling with excitement, promise to behave if only they can stay. Uncertainty flickers in Leon's eyes. Just as he hesitates, a fleeting thought brushes his mind. It would be wonderful if they could be like Sora. In that instant, the world shifts and takes on a new shape. In the blink of an eye, a new reality unfolded before him. The children had truly become companion beasts, just like Sora. Their status was now official, bound to him by an unbreakable connection. Stunned, Leon struggled to accept the unbelievable truth before him. What moments ago seemed nothing more than a fantasy had become reality. Iris and Auruk now stood at his side as true companions, something he had only experienced with monsters until now. The realization dawns on him that this event stands in stark contrast to everything previously known about bonds with therianthropes. Yet perhaps a unique condition made such a connection possible, trust combined with genuine desire. Upon examining their updated stats, Leon notices a remarkable development. Iris's agility has soared to S-class. This signifies more than just a connection. It marks the beginning of a new future. Leon comes to a decision. With abilities like these, he can confidently take them along on future journeys. Now, they are true members of the team. With unwavering certainty, he welcomes the children to remain by his side. From this moment on, they become a single team, a united family, setting out on new adventures together. Iris and Auruk, unable to hide their joy, rush into Leon's arms. Warmth floods the moment, and Leon becomes more than just a savior to them. He is now a true home. Leon takes it upon himself to look after the children, starting with the basics. He prepares a warm bath, giving them a chance to feel clean and comfortable for the first time in a long while. With gentle hands, she carefully washes their hair, then dries it with a towel, dressing them in fresh clothes. Every movement radiates a warmth and tenderness they had always yearned for but never received. Iris and Aruk now present a striking transformation, neat, composed, and smiling. The frightened slaves who once fled through the forest have vanished, replaced by children brimming with newfound calm and contentment. A sudden realization strikes Leon. These children don't even have names. Refusing to let this injustice stand, determination flares within him to set things right. His gaze rests on the girl as he gently speaks, naming her Iris. A spark lights up in her eyes. A name she never possessed now becomes a piece of her own story. The gift of a name, Aruk, brings a bright, heartfelt smile to the boy's lips as he echoes it with pride. In that instant, a genuine sense of self awakens in both of them, as if discovering who they truly are. Evening settles in, and Leon busies himself in the kitchen, arranging a lavish spread with generous helpings. Iris and Aruk gaze at the feast, their eyes wide with delight, as though a dream has taken solid form right before them. Genuine wonder shines in the children's eyes, as if they can hardly believe this food is truly meant for them. For a fleeting moment, the world seems to welcome them with open arms. The group halts before the spread of dishes, uncertain that this feast is truly meant for them. Past experiences have taught them that food was never something they could claim as their own. With careful hesitation, they ask, "Is it really allowed for us?" Their voices quiver, their eyes brimming with hope, a portrait of genuine distrust shaped by a world that taught them doubt from childhood. A gentle smile touches Leon's lips as he says, "You are free. Everything here belongs to you now." His words ripple through the air like a spell, finally releasing them from the shackles of fear. Aruk and Iris dive into their food, unable to hide their hunger. Eyes gleam with anticipation, and hands move quickly as each bite brings a rare sense of delight, turning the meal from a daily struggle into a moment of genuine happiness. Watching from the sidelines, Leon feels a gentle warmth as he observes the plates being quickly emptied, followed by hearty burps in the air. For the first time in ages, laughter rises from his chest, joining in with the others. After a satisfying meal and feeling the weight of fatigue, everyone drifts off to sleep. In the quiet that follows, Leon surveys the sleeping children and reflects on their future. They need to learn how to defend themselves. Their training will begin in the morning. Night descends on Liberto as he wanders through its silent streets, his eyes lingering on statues raised in his honor. Despite the echoes of past glory surrounding him, unease stirs within. His search for a true purpose remains unfinished. At that moment, a young woman named Hetty responds to her companion's call. With steady movements and a calm, collected voice, she prepares to make her choice. A determined gleam in her eyes signals the moment. She announces it is time to move forward. The group gathers around her, uncertainty swirling ahead, yet an unspoken understanding settles among them. Something important is about to begin. Leon guided Iris and Aruk into the dense forest. Suddenly, a powerful, restrained monster appeared before them, its presence sending a chill through the air. Without any warning, Leon declared that it was time for the children to confront their fears head-on. This would be the true test awaiting them. Iris's calm shatters in an instant as her eyes lock onto the monster. Even the creature itself appears caught off guard by this sudden shift. Leon speaks with unwavering confidence, his voice calm as he assures everyone that the orc poses no real threat. Their skills are more than enough. With a single fluid gesture, he releases the creature, and a massive green beast stands before them. Leon calmly explains that success only requires a well-placed kick. As his words hang in the air, the furious orc lunges forward, forcing the girls to react in an instant. Iris and Aruk strike the orc at the same moment, sending it soaring through the air until it vanishes in the distance. Leon takes in the sight with amazement, yet quickly steels himself as another challenge emerges. A colossal dragon steps forward from the shadows. Wearing a warm smile, Leon gently urges them to set aside their fears. Facing the dragon is simply the next challenge in their training, one they are meant to overcome together. Iris and Rukin stand frozen, awestruck as the enormous dragon inches closer with deliberate steps. Meanwhile, Leon observes the scene with calm detachment, silently recognizing the gravity of the challenge before them. Only 3 days had passed, yet Iris and Aruk had already begun to find their footing. Both carried themselves with assurance and seemed fully prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them. Leon leads them to the Adventurers Guild in Liberto. The grandeur of the building and the lavish interior inspire awe, each corner steeped in the spirit of legends. The guild worker blinked in surprise as a man approached with 2 children by his side. Expecting him to register the youngsters for an examination, she prepared her forms, but Leon gently dispelled her assumptions by presenting his own license. The sight of his D-rank adventurer badge leaves the staff member visibly impressed. Leon then mentions the girl's wish to sign up as well and inquires about the date of the next examination. The woman issues a warning, explaining that registering such young candidates will prove exceptionally difficult due to strict age restrictions. Official regulations prohibit children from becoming adventurers due to the communication skills required when dealing with clients. However, exceptions do exist if a child joins a team alongside an adult. After weighing the risks, Leon decides not to rush things and chooses to postpone the registration for now. At the same time, he decides to take on a new mission of his own, while the children are still unable to join officially. After carefully scanning the mission board, Leon selects the task that suits him best. Once again, the road beckons, and it is time to set off. The C-rank assignment focuses on exploring the outskirts of Regina, where monsters have been appearing with increasing frequency near the settlement. After gauging the distance, Leon estimates that he could reach his destination within half an hour if he runs. Yet, an older adventurer blocks his path with a mocking grin, questioning what such a youngster is doing here. Leon replies calmly, introducing himself as an adventurer. His opponent immediately casts a suspicious glance at the girls and demands to know who they are to him. Leon bluntly remarks that they hardly look like adventurers, a comment that stings their pride and instantly creates a palpable tension between them. With a bold gesture, the man snatches the assignment from Leon's grasp, confidently claiming that he saw it first. Tossing out a biting remark, he questions what kind of adventure involves 2 kids. Before he can utter another word, Sora strikes him hard across the face, sending him reeling and barely able to keep his balance. Sora turns to Leon, asking if this brazen fool deserves punishment. Leon simply offers a calm smile and shakes his head, declaring there's no need for killing. The adventurer stands frozen in disbelief, unable to accept that he has just been struck by a slime. Leon calmly explains that, yes, the man was his companion. The poor fellow fell victim to his own slime's attack, and there's nothing more to add. Offended, the man reaches for his sword and vows to destroy the creature. According to the rules, any monster that attacks a human must be eliminated. Yet Leon stands his ground and firmly refuses. Tension brews within the crowd as the adventurer firmly asserts it wasn't his fault, insisting that the other man came too close on his own accord. A murmur of whispers circles among the onlookers. Members of the guild hurry to calm the restless crowd. Turning to an adventurer named Gray, they plead with him to put an end to this senseless commotion. Grice raises his voice even louder, proudly brandishing his status as a Class B adventurer. His demand for silence drowns out everyone else in the room. At that moment, something strikes his arm, making him flinch. Leon calmly steps closer and, with a chilling composure, asks what he is doing, leaving Gree bewildered and at a loss. Henrietta steps into the hall, her presence commanding instant respect. Authority radiates from her, silencing the crowd in a heartbeat. With just one glance, she transforms the entire atmosphere. A sharp glance from her lands on Grizz, demanding an explanation without a word. The guild workers instantly fall in line, realizing the time for jokes has ended. With calm precision, Riat sums up the situation, presenting the facts clearly and without any trace of emotion. It turns out Gree tried to steal the mission and attacked Leon's companion. Cornered and desperate, he mutters a brief admission of guilt. Muttering a quiet apology, he storms out of the guild, unable to bear the weight of his humiliation. Henrietta steps forward to make sure Leon is all right. He offers her a sincere thank you, grateful for her steady support. With a trace of embarrassment, he addresses her as Madame Gunrietta, mistakenly swapping her name. Something about her strikes him as familiar. With a gentle smile, she replies that calling her Henrietta will do just fine. Calmly, she adds that for now, she sees herself as just an ordinary traveler, content to remain unnoticed. Kanai, Henrietta's acquaintance, bursts into the conversation, playfully dubbing Henrietta's modesty as unstoppable. After all, she belongs to the elite ranks of adventurers classified as A rank. With a sheepish smile, Henrietta quickly urges her not to exaggerate. Kanai fixes her gaze intently on Leon, her smile growing ever more mischievous as her eyes seem to tell an unspoken story. Openly admitting her feelings, she remarks that he perfectly matches her tastes, subtly hinting at a deeper interest. Flirtatious intentions spark in her eyes, but Henrietta quickly puts a stop to it with a gentle smack to her head, preventing things from escalating further. With a stern voice, Henrietta commands everyone to stop spoiling the boy. In response, Kanai casually shrugs and assures her that it is nothing more than light-hearted teasing. Henrietta's tone turns serious as she firmly stated that while other people's preferences did not concern her, the law must never be broken. Kanai's face drains of color at her grim joke about a severed head. Nearby, a fair-haired girl appears, quietly observing the two of them. Compliments flow from her lips as she calls them true beauties, yet the girls remain silent, their expressions unchanged, watching her with wary eyes. The blonde drifts toward another group, her presence stirring a wave of tension. One of the girls mutters under her breath about another oddball arriving. Yet in the newcomer's eyes, genuine fascination sparkles. Through tempting offers of toys and sweets, she tries to win over the two girls, determined to find a way into their hearts by any means necessary. Her attempts only frighten the girls, causing them to shrink away and hide. Other women step in, urging her to stop trying to get closer. One of them speaks up directly, pointing out that she looks far too strange and only frightens the children. Silent disapproval from the others in the room supports this criticism. The woman offers her apology. Meanwhile, Leon stands tall and introduces his team with pride. Kanai and Tinu, his steadfast allies. Next, he introduces everyone. The girls are named Aryuk and Iris. The amusing flying slime goes by Sora, and he himself is called Leon. One of the women marvels at the slime's agility and wonders aloud if Leon is a tamer. Leon confidently assures her that he is. The girl offers an apology for the actions of another man. Memories surface of a failed warrior, denied the chance to take the exam, perhaps the root of his lingering bitterness. With a hint of disdain, she observes that only the faint of heart lash out at young men. Turning her attention to Leon, she inquires about the mission he has chosen. Leon presents her with the assignment. The entire group studies it closely, knowing the mission has gone untouched for 3 weeks. Even the path leading to Regina has kept most adventurers at bay, chilled by its daunting reputation. The boy's boldness amazes them. A C-rank mission is no simple task, fraught with risk and difficulty. This choice takes everyone by surprise. Upon inquiring about his rank, everyone learns he is only a D. This revelation leaves them astonished, as reaching such a level at his age is a remarkable accomplishment. A warning comes right away. The difficulty of the task surpasses his current rank, so perhaps choosing an easier one would be wiser. Leon acts without hesitation, convinced that if a mission is neglected, someone must be in need of help. His unwavering dedication leaves a profound impression on one of the women, touching her deeply. Inspired by his determination, both girls clap their hands and offer their support, assuring him he is no longer alone. The women welcome the chance to set out together, delighted by the prospect of spending time with their children, much to Tina's annoyance, whose expectations had clearly been very different. For a moment, Leon sinks into deep thought, realizing that as long as these people remain nearby, escaping on his own will be impossible. Eric and Iris seize his arms, their disapproval plain as they try to restrain him from making another reckless move. Leon politely declines any offer of help, admitting that relying on others makes him uneasy. Despite his fiery temperament, he remains confident in his ability to manage alone. However, the women insist, explaining that their assistance is just as much for their own peace of mind as for him. Among the travelers, one expresses concern, feeling the weight of journeying with 2 young children. Truly, their group stands out as anything but ordinary. Leon found himself lost in thought, realizing that only a few days had passed since he first met Auroch and Iris. Yet, in that short time, it felt as though they had already overcome countless challenges together. The women insist they have no interest in any reward, drawn instead to Regina by the allure of its hot springs. While Leon suspects there is more behind their eagerness, he realizes that no matter how much he tries to dissuade them, their minds are already set on joining the journey. One of them quietly notes with relief that this journey offers a rare chance to finally relax after weeks of endless tasks and worries. In her imagination, she was already soaking in hot springs with the children, letting the warmth seep into her bones. Her thoughts wandered further, conjuring up a scene where she lounged in a bath with an attractive young man. Even her friends found these daydreams suspicious. Tension hangs heavily in the air. An awkward silence settles over Leon and Tina, as a woman sharply reprimands her friend for expressing desires she considers far too bold. Meanwhile, the woman wheels over a cart designed for 3, cheerfully noting there's plenty of space for 3 more little ones. Leon studies the animal harnessed to the cart with keen interest, and inquires if it happens to be a unicorn. The girl nods, introducing her as Cher, and explaining that she possesses far greater strength than an ordinary horse. A companion remarks that the journey to Regina will take about an hour if they travel by this wagon. The mere thought of a cramped journey with Leon and the children brings an involuntary blush to Tina's cheeks, while the other woman's face also flushes with a peculiar eagerness neither tries to hide. Illusions quickly fade as it becomes clear that they have been given seats only at the very back of the wagon, far removed from the company they had hoped to join. At last, the travelers arrive in Regina Village, a truly peaceful place dotted with tidy houses and old mills, surrounded by the kind of picturesque scenery that instantly captures the eye. The moment they arrive, an elderly man recognizes Henrietta with a mix of surprise and respect. Bowing deeply, he addresses her as a lady. He seeks confirmation that this particular group has agreed to take on the task. Then, with a trace of regret, points out that the village is poor and the springs are its only claim to fame. There is little hope of receiving a generous reward. Reet insists their presence is simply to accompany Leon on his vacation, and likely only Leon will receive payment. Upon hearing this, the old man's face relaxes into a relieved smile. Introducing himself as an adventurer who thrives on challenges, Leon eagerly requests more details about the quest. The elder shares troubling news about the nearby forest. Recently, the monsters that dwell there have started approaching the village, an unusual occurrence that has sparked deep concern among the villagers. Leon's mission is to uncover the cause behind the monsters' erratic behavior and put a stop to any threat looming over the village. Bowing respectfully, the elder appeals for every possible effort to be made. Suspicion grows within Leon and his team, sensing that something truly ominous stirs within the forest. The team arrives at the forest, each member preparing for a thorough search as the tension rises with every step. One of the women comments that searching for anything in such a vast forest would be difficult. Tina, however, declares with confidence that this poses no challenge for her. Revealing her true identity as a scout, Tina sharpens her focus. Her eyes sweep intently over the forest, every sense alert, prepared to spot any sign of danger before anyone else. With a gentle smile, Tina confides that she has considerable experience in watching over children, leaving even Iris and Auroch slightly bewildered. Pride shines in her eyes whenever the topic of monster tracking arises. Henrietta notes that for Tina, these assignments feel like second nature. Henrietta raises the question of whether bringing the girls along was a wise decision. A note of concern colors her voice. Leon replies with calm assurance, explaining that they possess far more strength than anyone would expect. These girls hide remarkable abilities beneath their unassuming appearances. A thoughtful voice points out that even Leon stands apart from ordinary boys. Gradually, the whole group comes to realize that there are no random people in this mission. Each person is here for a reason. Deeper within the forest, an unsettling silence takes hold. No creatures stir, and not a sound disturbs the stillness. The absence makes everyone tense and alert. Tina calls upon her tracking abilities, but nothing comes of it. Meanwhile, disbelief flickers across Henrietta's face. The unnerving silence sends a chill through her. Leon quickly realizes that his ability to sense monsters is limited to a certain range. Wasting no time, he pulls out a special whistle and blows it, hoping to lure the enemy closer. A sharp whistle pierces the air, its powerful sound echoing deep into the heart of the forest. Tension in the air mounts steadily. Tina remains curiously numb, an odd sensation that raises suspicion. Meanwhile, Henrietta detects a subtle movement. The monster is closing in from the east. In response, everyone falls into position, primed for the impending battle. Tina nods in agreement. Danger truly approaches from the southeast. The scout cannot hide her astonishment at such precise foresight. One of the women expresses surprise that Henrietta has outdone even the scout. However, the group quickly shifts focus, as the danger is already close at hand. Deep within the forest, a growing commotion stirs the air as something massive draws near. The team braces themselves, preparing for a confrontation with the colossal creature approaching. A colossal tarantula emerges from between the trees. Anxiety ripples through the group as one of the women calls out its name, revealing the creature to be a high-risk class monster. The spider hurtles closer with alarming speed. Without a moment's hesitation, the woman steps forward, positioning herself as a shield for the rest of the group. An incantation flares to life on her staff, and the ground trembles as it rises, forming a stone wall that halts the monster's advance. Riet strides forward with determination, instructing the children to stay back. This creature is a challenge only the adults should face. With a direct blow, she boldly engages the tarantula, her determination and formidable strength shining through each movement. Leon warns that more enemies are approaching. Tina senses their presence as well. The battle is only just beginning. From the shadows, dozens of smaller tarantulas emerge, moving swiftly toward the chaos. In the midst of the struggle, Henrietta battles fiercely, yet her sword becomes tangled in sticky webs, trapping her in place. The group finds themselves encircled by a swarm of Class B monsters. One of the women quickly notices that they're woefully outnumbered, and the danger of their predicament becomes painfully clear. Not a single soul turns to flee. Instead, everyone rushes fearlessly into battle. Tina and the warrior move as one, striking down their foes with perfect coordination, cutting through the enemy ranks with each synchronized attack. Suddenly, a tarantula emerges behind Kanai, its presence cutting through the tense atmosphere. Tina quickly alerts her friend, just in time to ward off the unexpected danger lurking so close. Just as the monster prepares to strike, Sora, a tiny slime, leaps forward and lands a quick blow on the enemy. Stunned by the rescue, Kanai offers heartfelt thanks, while Sora puffs up with pride and asks if she is all right. Leon gives a firm command for Eric and Iris to stay behind. Without a word of protest, the girls quietly obey, their trust in him absolute. Henrietta calls out his name in distress, while Kanai freezes in place. Meanwhile, Leon strides calmly toward the cluster of tarantulas, drawing his sword with steady determination. Charging forward without a hint of hesitation, he meets the battle head-on and faces it alone, embodying the spirit of a true warrior. With lightning speed, Leon cuts through the horde of monsters, dispatching several in the blink of an eye. The women look on in awe, seeing not just Leon, but a force of nature unleashed before them. Advancing with the grace of a dancer, each leap and spin carries him effortlessly through the fray. Every strike he delivers is executed with flawless precision, unwavering confidence, and lethal accuracy. Amidst the shadows deep within the forest, another colossal tarantula emerges. Henrietta watches it cautiously, her eyes tracing the movement of a shadow creeping through the dusk. The giant spider flees in a panic as Henrietta struggles to stop it. Pain from her injury surges through her, leaving her barely able to stand. Meanwhile, Leon lands with effortless grace and immediately springs into another leap, moving forward with the calculated precision of a machine built for destruction. Flying straight toward the monster, he catches it frozen in confusion, unable to react or run away. The outcome has already been sealed. Leon's sword slices through the air, cleaving the monster cleanly in two. Triumph comes swiftly, with flawless precision. Calmly, he lands on the ground, while three women watch in astonishment as he casually continues on his way, unfazed by what just happened. Astonishment washes over Henrietta, leaving her uncertain whether she is dreaming or awake. Tina assures her that this technique rivals Henrietta's own level of mastery. The question of whether she even had the right lingered, tangled among her thoughts. Doubt cut through any trace of certainty she possessed. Everything felt so astonishing, she found herself longing for proof that any of this was real. Kanae glances at Leon, her eyes filled with confusion, while Leon modestly admits to having some fencing skills. Not long ago, she had believed him to be nothing more than a humble tamer. Suddenly, a new danger looms behind Iris and Rook. From the dense undergrowth, a giant tarantula bursts forth. With lightning speed, Henrietta issues a warning. The girls are in imminent danger of an attack. Iris reacts in an instant, launching the monster away with a powerful kick. Her unwavering determination leaves it no chance to resist. A hush falls over everyone as even Henrietta stands stunned by the girl's overwhelming power. The sight before her surpasses anything she could have ever imagined. Silence hangs in the air, as if time itself pauses at the ease of Iris and Auroch's victory. Henrietta stands motionless, her expression carved in stone, while Tina calmly remarks on the girl's strength and undeniable charm. From afar, Levon observes in silence, his face an unreadable mask. He moves slowly through the forest, autumn leaves swirling gently around his path. Leon strides forward with confidence until the silence shatters under a sudden rumble. He halts, calmly assessing the unexpected threat before him. From the shadows emerges a colossal tarantula, the queen of the swarm. Her size surpasses that of any creature encountered before. The group freezes, realizing they now face a formidable being of S- rank. The group braces themselves for battle as the entire pack of giant spiders, led by their queen, encircles them. Tension thickens in the air. This fight will be a deadly struggle. The fair-haired woman suggests a retreat, and Henrietta agrees, knowing escape offers their only hope for survival in such dire circumstances. Henrietta rushes to warn Leon, but her efforts fall short as giant tarantulas emerge from every direction, their traps snapping shut around them. Panic sweeps through the crowd as monsters close in from every direction. No one turns to run. Instead, all brace themselves, ready to face the most desperate battle of their lives. With a swift and precise swing, Leon slices through the web, determined to clear a path forward. However, the threads reveal an unexpected strength and resilience, causing his sword to bounce off without slicing through completely. Can surges forward, channeling fire magic in a desperate attempt to burn away the web and break free from the trap. A wave of terror sweeps through her as she realizes her flames have no effect. The web remains untouched and unharmed. The web ensnares Tinu, leaving her utterly defenseless in a heartbeat. Refusing to give in, she lashes out, while a frantic Henrietta desperately calls her name. Entangled in the sticky web, Tina mourns the chance to soak in the thermal baths with her children. Yet even as claws close in from all sides, her resolve holds firm. Surrender is not in her nature, and no trap will claim her so easily. Sensing the looming threat, she summoned the last reserves of her strength. One desperate lunge, a determined attempt to break free, and a fierce glint of resolve lighting up her eyes. The spider would not claim its victory so easily. A glimmer of hope shines through. A blade of ice, enchanted with frozen magic, aimed straight for the spider's heart. The true test lies in whether the strength remains to see this desperate plan through. The powerful blow lands, inflicting real damage, yet the creature stubbornly clings to life, hissing and refusing to fall. Hope begins to fade, until suddenly something changes. Leon steps into view, calm and composed. Raising 2 fingers, he quietly murmurs the word, lightning. A flash of light slices through the darkness. Lightning strikes its mark, unleashing an electric explosion that engulfs the tarantula queen. The raw force of the storm channels directly into its target. The monster drifts slowly to the ground. Astonishment freezes the girls in place, disbelief etched across their faces. In silence, Tina tries to process the shock as her heart pounds with awe. The queen's lifeless body still crackles, stray currents racing through the remnants of her flesh. Victory stands undeniable. Deep gratitude wells up in Tina's heart as she earnestly thanks Kanai, convinced that this friend called forth the thunder. The friend shifts uncomfortably, confessing she possesses no such magic. Everyone stands stunned, struggling to comprehend who could have summoned the lightning. All eyes turn to Leon, who simply glances around with calm indifference, as if nothing out of the ordinary had just happened. A faint smile plays on his lips as he admits his familiarity with magic. Silence blankets the battlefield, where the motionless bodies of tarantulas lie scattered, and the women stand in stunned disbelief. One of the warriors voices her suspicion, suggesting that there is something unusually strange about Leon. The others only offer sly smiles as they watch the boy embrace the 2 beast girls. Gentle praise flows from him as his hand glides over their heads, and the animals beam with joyful delight. Behind his back, a quiet voice admits that he is an entire team embodied in one person, a warrior, a mage, and a commander. Uncertainty lingers in the air like a dense fog, as doubt quietly eats away at everyone's thoughts about whether he is truly just a boy. The girls found themselves completely captivated by the young man and the animals surrounding him. Awestruck, one of them began to drool, a detail her friend immediately noticed. The team refocused their attention on what truly mattered. As they carefully examined the queen's carcass, a consensus emerged among them. She had been the source of every disaster that had befallen the forest. Her arrival sent the other creatures fleeing from the forest, the monsters rushing toward the village in desperate escape from her brutality. Leon explains that the spiders wiped out most of the animals, and if they hadn't been stopped, nothing would have survived, not even humans. The closest village, Regina, was meant to be their first target. The girl suspects that perhaps no one remains there anymore. A firm voice rises from the crowd, declaring that every single monster should be eradicated, just to be safe. A sudden cough escapes the boy before he abruptly whistles through his fingers. The sound rings out strong and clear, catching the girl's attention and prompting her to turn around in surprise. The woman flinches, her voice edged with concern as she asks what just happened. The young man shrugs, explaining it was only a whistle, yet he warns that such a sound could attract monsters. Everyone recalls how, just before the queen appeared, that same sharp, piercing whistle would ring out. Curious, the girl with loose hair wonders just how far the sound can travel. Perhaps it reached every corner of the forest. Her words bring the room to a sudden halt. If what she says is true, then he stands at the center of everything that has happened. Memories surface of their journey, where not only spiders blocked the path, every monster, as if obeying some unseen command, rose up to challenge them. The village elder freezes in stunned disbelief upon learning of the encounter with the queen. Relief washes over his features the moment he realizes everyone has returned unharmed. With genuine enthusiasm, he offers his thanks, admitting that he always believed Lady Henrietta's squad would triumph. Yet the girls, modest and unassuming, gently deflect the praise, insisting that the true hero is someone else, or tries to convince the elder of his honesty, but the old man merely chuckles, dismissing his words as nothing more than another amusing joke. A wave of excitement washed over one of the companions as he shared the news. Nearly every monster lurking within the forest had been vanquished. For the first time in ages, the village could breathe in peace. The elder, taken aback yet deeply moved, felt a renewed spark of hope flicker within him at these words. The travelers pause atop the hill, gazing down at their familiar village below. Relief shines in their eyes, for the long journey is finally over, and at last they have returned home. The entire group receives an invitation to the village's grand communal bathhouse, a cherished treasure renowned for its thermal springs, tranquility, and elegant ambiance. On this occasion, the facilities await them alone, promising an experience reserved solely for their enjoyment. With a gentle smile, the elder encourages a well-earned rest, inviting everyone to soak in the warmth they have rightfully gained. Weary yet content, the heroes embrace a moment of renewal, their mission now fulfilled. The moment the spring is mentioned, excitement ripples through the group and voices ring out. The most spirited girl, unable to hold herself back, surges ahead, clearly already prepared to dive into the water. With not a trace of embarrassment, she invites Leon to join the women's bath. Shock ripples through everyone present, as if struck by a sudden bolt of lightning. Such words are rarely heard in everyday conversation. Leon stammers in confusion, insisting that he is a boy. The girl, undeterred, bursts into laughter, declaring that after everything they've been through, it's time for them to get a little more acquainted. Those words hold true for her. With unwavering confidence, she will stride toward the bath, unburdened by clothing, untouched by shame or hesitation. Leon firmly declines, making his feelings unmistakably clear. Nearby, someone observes that the young man is more than old enough to make his own decisions, and unlikely to change his mind. A dispute arises over who is allowed in the women's bath. Some suggest that only the girls should be let in. However, if the boy enters the men's bath, his talisman must accompany him. With no other choice left, Leon reluctantly agrees. At that moment, the two girls, gripped by panic, seize his shoulders and desperately protest. Emotions swirl in the air. One woman teeters on the edge of breathlessness, barely able to contain her outrage, while the other does her best to maintain an air of calm. At last, the man's voice cuts through the turmoil with booming authority, demanding an end to the chaos. The scene shifts to a tranquil hot spring, steam curling over the glassy surface of the water. All remains calm and undisturbed, as if recent events never occurred. As they walked down the hallway, the girls chatted about how Leon had left ahead of them. One of them sighed, wishing she could have spent more time with the children. The other simply shrugged, quietly insisting that they had brought it upon themselves. Suddenly, Maria appears, running towards Henrietta with a bright smile, her cheerful voice filling the air. Genuine admiration shines in her eyes. Maria offered her heartfelt thanks for saving Leon, knowing full well that without their intervention, he would not have survived. She admitted that this mission had proven far more perilous than anyone had anticipated. Yet three girls fixed their eyes on her, their gazes laced with chilly suspicion. Sensing the tension in the air, Maria swiftly steers the conversation in a new direction. With a sudden announcement, she reveals that everyone is in line for a special reward, one that is both well-earned and deeply significant. Yet the lingering uncertainty remains over whether Leon will receive his share. The question arises whether Leon will receive the same reward as everyone else. Gradually, the truth begins to surface. Maria explains that the reward has increased due to the added risk. From the back of the hall, however, a guild staff member disagrees, insisting Leon will not receive the same treatment. Henrietta merely sighs, having anticipated this exact turn of events. With a resolute gaze, Riyadh states plainly that the greatest credit belongs to Leon. Without his efforts, this task would have never reached its conclusion. An overwhelming sense of shock washes over Maria. The last thing she expected was to hear such words spoken by Riyadh, a figure whose authority remains unquestioned. Henry had added that even an ordinary tarantula would be a real challenge for someone at rank D. Yet Leon had managed to defeat the queen herself. Maria froze in place, her eyes wide with shock. Even Inriad couldn't resist poking fun at her startled expression. The two girls exchanged knowing smiles as Maria struggled to maintain her composure. A contemplative mood settles in as she recalls that Henrietta never exaggerates. Even when teased by Kanai, her words remain precise and measured. Maria came to a clear decision. Leon deserved a full reward for his efforts. A promotion was also in order, at the very least up to rank B. Perhaps even rank A would be fitting. Her eyes sweep over the group as a moment of doubt flickers within her. wondering if they might be embellishing the story for Leon's sake. Yet realization quickly dawns. There's no need for lies among them. None has anything left to lose. A sense of belief settles in Maria as she realizes Leon truly defeated the queen on his own. Just a child, yet his name spreads rapidly among the guild workers. Thoughts of him linger in her mind. Leon, so young, strong, and strikingly handsome, stands apart from the rough, harsh men she deals with each day. In his presence, she finds a breath of fresh air. As Maria envisions his noble bearing, she forces herself to pause. Now is not the time for dreams. Yet even without a victory, Leon's name has already surged forward, carried by the fame that Henrietta and the others have unwittingly set into motion. Realizing the truth about Leon will fall on deaf ears, Henrietta acknowledges that even her A-rank status carries no sway over the guild's judgment. Maria, too, chooses to report what occurred, though she has little hope that her voice will be heeded right away. Before making any decisions, Maria insists on seeing for herself whether the boy truly lives up to his extraordinary reputation. From that point on, Leon steadily took on more and more assignments, each time revealing a bit more of his impressive abilities. Among the tasks assigned were locating a goblin lair, gathering medicinal herbs, and retrieving a lost work of art. These appeared to be standard assignments for beginners. That is why gauging his true strength proved difficult in the end. On the surface, everything appeared perfectly ordinary. The young woman at the reception desk stands frozen in disbelief upon hearing that Leon single-handedly wiped out the entire goblin lair. Among the fallen lies a goblin lord, a fiercely dangerous creature that only the strongest teams can defeat. A wave of shock washes over her. Even more astonishing to her is the fact that the enemy was brought down with a single, precise strike to the throat, a feat nearly impossible for even the most seasoned tamers. Without hesitation, Leon calmly pours out a mountain of herbs onto the counter, far more than anyone has ever brought before. Not just ordinary grass, but rare specimens perfect for crafting the most intricate potions. While seasoned treasure hunters might struggle to find even 10 in a day, he managed to gather hundreds within just a few hours. While handing over the artwork, Leon recalls how on his journey, he encountered a gang of thieves, defeated them, and reclaimed the stolen piece. The gang went by the intimidating name of the Asylum. Even battle-hardened veterans preferred to steer clear of them. Without any backup, Leon managed to capture one of the gang leaders. The administrator could hardly believe what she was seeing. Terror gripped the captive as he whispered that Leon was a monster. At last, the administrator conceded, admitting that every word spoken about him was true. Each rumor about Leon held a kernel of truth, woven from real events rather than mere imagination. Suddenly, Leon notices that Sora, his slime companion, looks weary and drained. The usually lively creature who loved perching atop his head now barely manages to hold on. The cat girls shrink away, glancing nervously to the side. Only recently, everything seemed normal with him. Now, genuine fear takes hold of them. Confusion clouded Leon's thoughts as he tried to unravel the mystery. Perhaps Sora had eaten something unusual. Typically, Sora limited his diet to small creatures. Suddenly, Sora's body begins to emit a gentle glow. The unexpected transformation leaves everyone around him stunned, unsure of what is happening to him. Leon notices the glow, finding it unusual but not threatening. Still, the mystery lingers in his mind. The thought of seeking guidance from the guild takes root in his mind, hoping that an experienced tamer might shed light on what had transpired. Together with the girls, Leon races towards the guild, carrying Sora securely in his arms. The administrator quickly notices the unusual glow and inquires if the slime has fallen ill. Leon admits that everything started unexpectedly. After carefully assessing the situation, the administrator concludes that Sora is evolving. Such an occurrence is rare, particularly among domesticated creatures. This proves Leon's strength is matched by his compassion. He quietly reflects on how, despite having defeated countless monsters, not a single one has ever evolved before his eyes. Suddenly, Sora's color shifts, his entire body turning a vivid, striking red. Those nearby stand in stunned silence, trying to comprehend this startling new transformation. The receptionist's smile fades as realization dawns. Standing before her is a red slime. Its stats alone astonish her, boasting strength, magic, and endurance ranked at formidable A levels, with some soaring to the legendary heights of S. Panic erupted throughout the room. A warning echoed. A creature like this could become dangerous. Even an A rank would struggle against a red slime. Yet Sora broke the silence, declaring he sensed a tremendous power within himself. Leon inquires about Sora's well-being. Responding with calm assurance, Sora explains that, although he senses a newfound power, it remains entirely within his control. After a brief inspection, Sora gleefully resumes bouncing on Leon's head. Satisfied with his steady condition, the examiner gives them permission to leave. The girls visibly relax as the slime returns to its usual cheerful self. The secretary approaches Leon to deliver a message from the Guildmaster. As soon as Leon arrives, he is to go directly to the Guildmaster's office without delay. Leon eyed the scene with caution, uncertainty flickering in his gaze as he wondered whether that was truly the Guildmaster himself. Meanwhile, inside the office, Denver hunched over mountains of paperwork, weary eyes scanning report after report with mounting exhaustion. Guildmaster Liberto, known to many as Denver, greets the newcomers and confirms that among them is indeed an adventurer by the name of Leon. With an intense gaze fixed on the boy, disbelief lingers. Before him stands someone who appears to be an ordinary child. Yet his companion remains adamant, insisting that Leon's record is impeccable. Doubt clouded Denver's mind as he weighed the idea of promoting Leon to a higher rank. The supposed victory over the Goblin Lord seemed exaggerated in his eyes. The companion remarks that underestimating goblins would be a grave mistake. Far more dangerous than their appearance suggests, Goblin Lords in particular command a level of threat that cannot be ignored. The Goblin Lord never emerges alone. His arrival spreads unease, presenting significant challenges even for seasoned adventurers. Denver admits that defeating a monster of this caliber alone amounts to a miracle. Usually such a feat demands the strength of an entire team. Leon received the invitation for a clear purpose, to uncover the truth behind that fateful battle. The woman, her voice tinged with surprise, inquires if the boy had truly been alone. Leon quietly lowers his gaze just as two twin girls, participants in the battle, step forward by his side. Denver quickly clarifies that he wasn't referring to the children or the slime creature. The woman then points to the red slime, explaining that it was involved as well. Surprise flickers across the Guildmaster's face. The woman sighs, her tone laced with irony as she wonders aloud how someone like him manages to run a guild at all. He tries to joke, blaming his subordinates, but she responds instantly, pointing out that he's just dumped all the work onto them. Denver presses for answers, eager to know if anyone else took part in the battle besides Leon, the girls, and the slime. With a calm demeanor, he reassures the boy, explaining that there's no grudge between them. He simply wishes to hear the truth. Leon replies evenly, insisting that what he said is the whole truth. According to Denver, Maria is insisting on an immediate promotion for Leon to rank B, or possibly higher. However, Denver senses that the situation is not so clear-cut. Guildmaster explains that earning a B rank means becoming the face of the guild. This role demands more than just strength. The woman nods in agreement, acknowledging the weight of such responsibility. She suggests a compromise. If a B rank is too soon, at least grant Leon a promotion to C rank, since he truly deserves it. Another compelling point comes from the victory over the Tarantula Queen. Combined with the defeat of the Goblin Lord, these achievements make a strong case. Denver stands astonished. Doubt flickers across his face. The woman instantly demands to know if he thinks Henrietta is a liar, her voice edged with icy resolve. Denver hesitates, searching for a reason to justify his caution. The woman, however, sharply rebukes him for his lack of resolve, calling him spineless. Observing the heated argument unfold, Leon simply smiles, as if to suggest that they could have resolved everything without his involvement. Henrietta strolls down the corridor at a measured pace, a folder containing Leon's promotion to rank C held securely in her hands. Each step radiates quiet confidence. Conviction fills her. This young man will not be deterred. Every new success only reinforces their belief in him, casting aside even the lingering doubts of the Guildmaster. Imagining the future, Henrietta already envisions herself receiving a reward and finally purchasing that chic designer wallet she has long desired. Festive energy fills the air as Leona receives congratulations on his new title. He has officially been promoted to rank C. Among the adventurers, a discussion stirs. Despite the Guildmaster's efforts, everyone agrees that Leon truly deserves an even higher rank. In the midst of their conversation, one of the girls turns to Leon and asks if he has been summoned as well. Leon nods in response, confirming that the summons had indeed reached him. Apparently, they received similar messages as well, making it clear this was more than mere coincidence. Everyone gathers in the grand hall as the guild representative steps forward, standing before the assembled crowd, and solemnly begins to read the official announcement. The guild representative steps forward and explains the reason for the gathering. Everyone has been summoned to investigate a series of mysterious abductions that have recently unsettled Liberto. The new mission centered on uncovering those responsible for the abductions that had spread fear and uncertainty throughout the city. The guild member points out that Liberto had long enjoyed a reputation for safety. Yet lately crime has been on the rise. Unraveling the reasons behind this troubling shift now falls to the finest investigators. The order came directly from the region's ruler and holds the highest level of priority, so the guild entrusts it only to their most reliable veterans. Among the crowd, an adventurer raises a hand and voices a concern about why newcomers were left out, pointing out that everyone present appears to be a seasoned fighter. The response comes. Before the authorities could intervene, the guild had already received a private request from one of the victim's relatives and dispatched several seekers to handle the task. Yet each and every one of them vanished without a trace. Anxious whispers begin to ripple through the crowd. For this reason, only seekers ranked C or higher are permitted to accept this quest. The danger proves too great even for those well-versed in the field. A man, his voice edged with irritation, points out Leon and the twins, dismissing them as mere children. Recognition flashes across Leon's face as he immediately recalls the man's familiar features from days gone by. The man launched into open criticism of the guild, calling the promotion unfair. Another stepped in to confirm that Leon had, in fact, been granted a C rank, stirring a fresh wave of discontent among those present. A woman, lips curled in a sarcastic smile, tosses fuel onto the fire. She remarks that he failed to achieve an A rank and blames everyone but himself. The comment sparks an immediate surge of anger. Rising to Leon's defense, the warrior Grise firmly asserts that the young man is worthy of a rank even higher than C. She dismisses every suggestion of conspiracy or coercion, unwavering in her stance. Meanwhile, her opponent veils lingering suspicion behind a forced smile, pretending to agree for just a fleeting moment. Yet a moment later, a mocking smile returns as he gestures toward the twins, implying that their strength hardly matches that of C-rank hunters. With a stern gaze fixed on Leon, the woman questions whether the impudent intruder should be dealt with. Leon replies calmly, urging her to hold back. A warm smile spreads across Leon's face as he explains that the girls are his animal partners, each possessing skills beyond imagination. For a tamer like him, such abilities are simply part of everyday life. The enemy hurls a threat, warning that Leon will not live if he interferes again. One of the twins quietly asks for permission to step in, but Leon holds up a hand, brushing off the menace as nothing more than empty words. The man turns on his heel and walks away. Leon, accompanied by the twins, steps out onto the city streets, launching his own investigation and carefully observing the world unfolding around them. Each team received its own independent investigation. Daily reports became mandatory for everyone, ensuring swift action if any danger emerged. The main requirement was to remain vigilant for any suspicious behavior. Leon scanned the surrounding crowd with a cautious gaze, his senses heightened and alert for the slightest sign of trouble. Two suspicious men in hooded jackets catch his eye as they stealthily approach a lone passerby. With swift, practiced motions, they knock the man off his feet and drag him into the shadowy alleyway. Swiftly, the kidnappers press a cloth against their victim's face, rendering her unconscious. From this, Leon realizes he is dealing with seasoned criminals. A swift gesture sends the twins scrambling for cover. Their feline instincts take over, and in an instant they vanish from sight, slipping away just as Leon had taught them. His gaze catches sight of a cart ambling out of town. In the back, a suspicious burlap sack draws attention. Due to frequent thefts, security checks of luggage became meticulous. Each bag now required a thorough inspection. Leon distinctly recalls that this particular sack slipped past the guards. That detail alone raises significant suspicion. Without a moment's hesitation, he charges after the carriage, the twins close at his heels as it rattles swiftly toward the forest. Following the faint wheel tracks, Leon and his companions quietly make their way deeper into the forest, hidden from any prying eyes. At last, a grand mansion rises before them, guarded by massive iron gates. Within these imposing walls, the truth behind the disappearance may be concealed. Hidden in the shadows, Leon realizes that acting alone would be reckless. Remembering the consequences of disobedience, he chooses caution over risk. He turns away and hurries back to the guild to report his findings. After delivering his report, Leon returns accompanied by reinforcements. One of the soldiers glances around uneasily, his doubts clear. Was this truly the location they had been told about? Leon nods with quiet confidence. The hideout lies just ahead. Tension mounts as everyone braces themselves for the perilous infiltration. One of the explorers scoffs with bold arrogance, insisting there's nothing of interest here. Yet that smug confidence is destined to fade quickly. Leon explains that the building is concealed by a barrier, invisible to anyone lacking particular skills. Even a mage would sense no distortion in the flow of mana. Doubts begin to fade as the lack of any trace of construction prompts even the most skeptical minds to reconsider. The situation is starting to look increasingly troubling. Suddenly, one arrogant fighter bursts out with an accusation, claiming that Leon has deceived everyone, and that they all believed a foolish lie. With a mocking confidence, he reaches out his hand, only to strike an unseen barrier. The impact draws a cry from his lips, while Leon manages to issue a hurried warning. The moment the man brushes against the barrier, he vanishes into thin air. A portal takes his place, revealing a hidden entrance. The squad stands frozen, stunned by what they've witnessed. On the other side, a soldier is struck by a chilling realization. Their presence has already been discovered. The enemy had been aware of them from the very beginning. Realization strikes Leon. The barrier does more than shield. It alerts the enemy to their presence. The need to destroy it becomes urgent and absolute. Among the group, a magic seeker summons a deadly whirlwind, the raging element swirling in the sky as it gathers strength to shatter the defenses below. The hurricane's force rips the barrier out from its foundation, while the others shield her from the raging wind, holding back the furious gale. The fortress reveals itself in all its grandeur before them. Leon watches in awe as the mage weaves a spell in complete silence. No time remains for surprise. One of the squad leaders calls out, signaling that the moment to act has arrived, and everyone surges forward together. The determined warrior charges ahead, his powerful blow shattering the gates. Splinters scatter in every direction as the squad surges forward into the assault. The adventurers rush inside with purpose, drawing the attention of the bandits. Alarmed by the sudden intrusion, the thieves scramble for their weapons. Their leader issues a ruthless command to leave no one alive. The enemy squad surges forward, their charge fueled by brazen confidence. Each fighter moves with the swagger of someone convinced of their own invincibility. Underestimating their enemy leads them into a cruel trap, as they rush forward in a reckless wave, unaware of the true strength that awaits them. The Seekers remain composed, seizing control with their very first strike. Precise and lightning-fast attacks swiftly thin the ranks of their opponents. Panic spreads across Panics's face as realization dawns. He's up against true masters. In an instant, they subdue him, leaving no room for resistance. Witnessing the scene, the remaining bandits begin to retreat. Meanwhile, one of the Seekers weaves a powerful spell, and a surge of energy trembles on the edge of release. Observing the battle, one of the heroes notices that the enemy possesses great strength, but their lack of skill is unmistakable. Movements come in wild bursts, clumsy and unpredictable, betraying inexperience like that of a beginner. Leon observes that despite their wild nature, these creatures possess astonishing strength. This realization deepens his suspicions about their true identity. Among the Seekers, one moves with a heavy heart, struggling to hold his ground even with a rank of B. Uncertainty hangs in the air, hinting that something about this battle is off. In an instant, Leon's slime surges forward with wild strength, knocking two opponents off their feet as if they were nothing more than dolls. The slime battles fiercely, delivering powerful and precise blows to his friends. An inexplicable strength radiates from him, leaving everyone astonished. The battlefield dissolves into chaos as explosions, crashing blows, and wild surges of magic meld together in a seething inferno. Leon, flanked by the twins, carved a path through a sea of enemies. Allies stared in disbelief, astonished by the sudden surge of magic from the beast tamer. Meanwhile, the bandits faltered, panic spreading as their schemes crumbled before their eyes. The twin sisters surge ahead, dispatching enemies with lightning-fast strikes. Their strength leaves even the bandits stunned, as none had anticipated these young girls would become such a fearsome force on the battlefield. Following the victory, the twin sisters of Leon bask in praise from the spirited adventurers, admired for their blend of charm and danger. With enthusiasm surging through the group, their leader rallies everyone, urging them to press on with even greater determination. Soon the subdued and bound bandits stood before everyone, their defeat and submission marking the undeniable end of the battle. With this, the fortress now belonged to the adventurers. Curious eyes soon recognize familiar faces, members of Liberto's gang moving through the crowd. Their involvement in such a large-scale abduction sparks a flurry of doubts and suspicion. What stands out is not just their unexpected return after vanishing, but also the unmistakable surge of newfound power that surrounds them. Clearly, something greater lies behind these events. The leader insists on one thing. Before moving forward, confirmation is needed that the kidnapped people are alive and unharmed. The interrogation begins. One of the gang members firmly denies any involvement in the abduction, insisting they had nothing to do with it and claiming ignorance of the entire affair. According to him, selling someone in the city is out of the question. The black market operates under strict surveillance, and the risk outweighs any potential gain. The group finds themselves swept up in confusion. So many things simply do not add up. Around them, people carry on as if nothing unusual had happened. One of the prisoners regains consciousness, utterly perplexed. His surroundings make no sense to him, and the ropes binding his hands deepen his confusion. Genuine bewilderment flickers in his eyes. The interrogations yield nothing. The commander orders a thorough search of the fortress. If answers cannot be found in words, then they must be sought among possessions. In the hidden chambers, investigators discover only a handful of the stolen goods. The number falls far short of expectations, while the rest have vanished without a trace. The prisoners deny everything, appearing as if their memories have been wiped clean. Genuine bewilderment and fear flicker in their eyes. The team slowly comes to the realization that events have moved far beyond the ordinary. Every sign points to a powerful external force at play. Leon studies the bandits intently, his gaze sharp and unwavering. If their words ring true, then someone has tampered with their minds. Suspicion thickens within him, hinting that an unseen force might be orchestrating everything from the shadows. One of the seekers observes that influencing people at such a high level is possible only through the use of mental control magic. Such a skill was almost unheard of, a true rarity. No one had ever witnessed anyone controlling so many people at once. Suddenly, Leon casually admits that he knows a bit of similar magic. His words come so naturally, as if he were mentioning something trivial. He adds that in their previous lives, only a rare few possessed anything remotely like this. Yet on these people, the curse seems even more potent than anything he has witnessed before. Leon calmly announces that the culprit is among them. Instantly, all eyes focus on him. One of his companions steps forward, suggesting they should let Leon finish speaking. The hall grows still. With unwavering confidence, Leon announces that the real criminal is present among them. A wave of whispers stirs, tension thickens, and every gaze locks in anticipation. Without a moment's hesitation, he conjures a blazing spell. A fiery spear materializes in his hand and thrusts forward as the surrounding energy tightens. A dark cloud rises into the sky. From a distance, it could be mistaken for a flock of birds. Brief confusion ripples through everyone nearby. Yet the illusion shatters, revealing a swarm of bats. An immense cloud bursts forth, launching an attack. Their sudden onslaught leaves everyone in stunned silence. Leon's spell cuts straight through the pack. Flames rip away their disguises, revealing faces that first appear human, then morph into monstrous visages. With unwavering certainty, Leon declares, "These are not people." The sight of burning bodies spreads terror through the air. Out from the heart of the flames emerges a figure, something uncanny awakening within it. Wings unfurl and a shadowy aura takes shape. Crimson eyes and sharp fangs instantly reveal the creature's true nature. This is no ordinary monster, but a genuine vampire standing before them. Vampires emerge from the shadows, revealing themselves at last. Their icy stares leave everyone frozen in place, as if the world itself remembers that this ancient race was believed long vanished. The red-haired girl swallows hard, anxiety flickering in her eyes. The tension in the room thickens, making the very air feel heavy and dense. Leon explains that what stands before them are nocturnal beings, intelligent and driven by bloodlust. Their sole purpose revolves around hunting and domination. Once, the world trembled at their presence, but time erased them from memory. Now the vampires have returned, and every soul they drain of blood falls under their spell, forever bound and cursed to serve. In a sudden moment of clarity, one of the women realizes the kidnappers were nothing more than pawns. Hidden in the shadows, vampires controlled their minds with masterful precision, using them as hunters to satisfy their thirst for blood. Wearing a predatory, calm smile, the vampire leader confirms the suspicion and even offers praise for human cleverness, yet pridefully declares the undeniable superiority of his own kind. The vampires confessed without hesitation, revealing that they orchestrated every abduction and skillfully manipulated the bandits like puppets on a string. One of the men leans in and whispers that even a single vampire represents a threat on the level of a disaster. Their arrival changes everything. Another warrior, pushing aside his fear, recalls the vampires' frail bodies. With the servants already defeated, this feels like the perfect moment to strike back while their numbers remain few. Spurred on by their earlier victory, the adventurers press forward with renewed determination. Meanwhile, the vampires remain aloof, watching from the sidelines with an air of disdain, quietly noting that the real battle has yet to begin. In a sudden burst of chaos, vampires storm the ranks with wild speed. Their swift assault paralyzes several on the spot, executed with effortless and blistering precision. One of them seizes the young man by the throat, a sinister smile curling on his lips as he murmurs that the youth will soon belong to their clan. The vampire sinks his fangs into the boy's skin in an attempt to transform him, but an unforeseen twist disrupts the sequence of events, sending everything off course. A brilliant flash erupts, followed by the sharp clang of metal ringing through the air. The vampire recoils in shock, leaping back instinctively. The crowd stands frozen, unable to grasp what has just unfolded before their very eyes. Confusion overwhelms the bloodsuckers as their fangs shatter and the bodies of their human victims suddenly become impervious. Clearly, something has gone terribly wrong. Calmly, the young man explains that he has cast a protective spell. Without the ability to draw blood, control cannot be established. The vampires, now frantic, are left bewildered and powerless. One of them bellows that his fangs are sharp enough to pierce steel, insisting that sorcery is nothing but a futile hope. Yet the evidence of its emptiness is impossible to ignore. Realizing who had disrupted all their plans, the vampires shift their focus to the boy, who now becomes their primary target. Without hesitation, the young man surges forward, every motion sharp and precise, resembling a living blade that offers his enemies no opportunity to defend themselves. With a swift flick of the sword, vampires topple one after another, unable to react in time. Cutting through the darkness, his blade flashes like lightning. Amidst the lifeless bodies strewn across the ground, a boy stands as silent as a shadow. The crowd looks on in stunned silence, disbelief flickering in their eyes at the unimaginable power that has just been revealed before them. Few witness the battle itself, only its outcome. In an instant, enemies lay scattered in the dust, while the hero stood amidst them, a living embodiment of war. One of the vampires still stirs. The young man issues a stern warning, making it clear there's no point pretending to be dead. He can see everything. Rage flashes across the vampire's face, only to be swiftly replaced by surprise as piercing insight and unexpected vulnerability catch him off guard. The wounds on their bodies refuse to close. Injuries remain exposed, and for the first time, fear finds its way into the hearts of these once unbreakable beings. The young man reveals that his sword bears a special enchantment, one designed to strip the undead of their power to heal. Now, they are nothing more than ordinary corpses. Lost in thought about whether to finish them off, he ultimately chooses to spare their lives, reasoning that they might have information about the whereabouts of the other abducted victims. The leader nods, acknowledging the wise decision. Suddenly, the silence is pierced by the mocking laughter of one of the wounded vampires as he slowly rises to his feet. A twisted smile contorted his face as spasms racked his body. Declaring that death was preferable to captivity among mortals, he set his own body ablaze in a final act of self-destruction. The team heads straight to the management office and relays the entire story exactly as it happened. The man seated behind the desk struggles to conceal his disbelief, clearly finding it difficult to accept such an astonishing tale. The boy wonders if the creature might not have been a vampire after all. Meanwhile, the red-haired girl remains certain. Her memory of their encounter leaves no room for doubt. The man suggests a possibility. All of this might be the monster's trickery, since monsters are known for their mind-controlling abilities. The girl dismisses his concern without hesitation. Amidst a group of men, she stood out as the only woman, a fact she often emphasized. Lacking the kind of power needed to sway another's mind, her influence remained limited. Even the monsters themselves eventually confess their true nature as vampires. Confusion settles over the man as he lets out a weary sigh, admitting to himself that these words should have been spoken back in Cuba. Silence, however, won out at the time. Now this long-overdue confession threatens to exact a heavy price. The man continues to brush off the truth, insisting that vampires simply pretend to be someone more important. Frustration sharpens the woman's voice as she demands honesty. Cornered by her unwavering gaze, he seems to shrink in her presence. One of the girls announces with assurance that everything is under control now. The worst is behind them, and they have managed to overcome it. Another woman interjects, questioning whether this is truly the most important matter. The man makes an effort to end the argument, but his calm composure shatters when a woman tugs mockingly at his ear, ridiculing his display of confidence. The girls report discovering only a portion of the victims, convinced that their search remains incomplete. Clearly, several other vampires have managed to escape detection. A new suspicion emerges. Somewhere, a second hideout holds the remaining captives. The true threat remains concealed in the shadows. The guild leader is forced to admit that the abductions are far more widespread than anyone had realized. His confession stuns those present and draws everyone in closer, a hush of concern settling over the gathering. Rumors circulate that vampires rarely finish off their victims in a single night, savoring the blood over time instead. Yet the real challenge remains: where to find more captives? Seated stiffly in his chair, one of the men quietly voices a new theory. Unease filled the girl's quiet words as she revealed her troubling thought. Vampires had changed. Evolution had sharpened their dangers, weaving a silent tension throughout the group. Quiet fear settled heavily in the air. The guild leader's eyes fly open in shock, while the woman at his side grows more solemn by the second. A heavy silence settles over everyone as the full weight of this change becomes clear. Anxiety etched across his face. The man insists that the Lord must be informed at once. Henrietta steps forward with determination, volunteering to deliver the message herself, and he offers his heartfelt thanks. Addressing her by name, he entrusts Henrietta with an important task. She nods in focused understanding, while the other warriors in the background watch intently. Once the report is handed over, the guild instructs its seasoned adventurers to remain vigilant, as numerous mysteries still linger. Returning to the base, thoughts about the future crowd the young man's mind. Comrades greet him, their voices filled with the spirit of victory that hangs in the air. A smile appears as he remembers how that simple task turned into a full-fledged investigation, ultimately leading him to dismantle the criminal's hideout. Luluka, the innkeeper, listens intently, a gentle smile playing on her lips. His enthusiasm delights her, and in her eyes, he already stands as a true hero. Despite her admiration for him, Luluka still thinks his missions are far too easy. The boy listens in silence while she offers a gentle smile. With unwavering confidence, she declares that one day he will become a true hero, just like the legendary Leon. Every word she speaks radiates genuine belief. At that moment, two catgirls watched everything unfold, their eyes shining with curiosity. Luluka quickly sensed their attentive stares. The catgirls eagerly plead for their favorite item. Luluka simply chuckles, strolls over to the shelf, and pulls out something recognizable. In just a few moments, everything would change. The book is offered to them, instantly sparking genuine delight. Joy and sincerity shine in the eyes of the catgirls, their excitement impossible to hide. Luluka requests the book be returned once it's finished. The boy offers his thanks, and everyone settles in together, absorbed in their reading. Alongside the girls, he plunges into adventure. Their excitement proves infectious. Even the tiny creature perched atop his head watches with rapt attention. Sora, too, has joined in. Excitement sparkles in their eyes as the girls reveal a book, The Adventures of Leon the Great. The cover features a courageous hero, whose bold presence entices the imagination. Surprise flickers across his face as the girls compare him to the hero featured on the cover. He struggles to see any resemblance, yet the thought refuses to leave his mind. Together, the three of them lose themselves completely in the unfolding story. Page after page turns quietly beneath their fingers, filling the evening with the promise of adventure. The boy quickly spots inaccuracies in the story, particularly details about Leon's origins. Despite this, the girls remain completely engrossed, their fascination only growing stronger whenever the tale turns to the Demon King. In the book, the demonic king appears as a hybrid creature, bearing the head of a lion and the body of a bear. In the boy's memories, however, this figure takes the form of an enormous human. Leon emerges victorious in the final battle, drawing the admiration of the girls. Filled with excitement, they rush to embrace him, seeing in him a true hero. As night descends upon the city, a mysterious calm settles over everything, gently enclosing this story within the soft glow of the stars. The young man dozes peacefully beside the girls, when a suspicious noise outside the window jolts him awake. Rising cautiously, he squints into the darkness and catches sight of something unsettling beyond the glass. Startled from their sleep, the anxious girls hurriedly sit up and begin asking what has happened. Meanwhile, the young man strides resolutely toward the door, determined to uncover the source of the alarm. In the hallway, Luluka stands in his path, awakened by the same clamor. A trembling lantern glimmers in her hand, fear etched across her face. Her expression reveals bewilderment and guarded caution. Urging her to stay behind, the young man senses danger ahead. Steeling himself for what lies beyond, he marches forward, fists clenched and mind bracing for an impending confrontation. Closed doors stood in his way. Without a moment of hesitation, he shattered the lock with a single blow and strode inside. A man dressed in a dark cloak stands in the room, leaning over someone's bed. A satisfied smile plays on his lips, as if he takes delight in the victim willingly approaching him. Luluka bursts into the room, demanding answers, yet the boy instantly warns her. The intruder is a vampire. Only then does fear truly seize her. She turns and flees, but the shadow follows, relentless and coldly precise. One of the injured victims, wounded and exhausted, manages a hoarse warning. This vampire will drain every last drop from all of you. At these words, a pallor sweeps over Luluka as fear grips her limbs. She urges everyone to flee at once while escape is still possible. The vampire moves closer to the boy, breathing in the scent of his blood. Instantly, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary child, but something far beyond that. At last, the vampire reveals the truth, confessing a hunger for his blood as a means to draw closer to the Dark Master, the king of all vampires. Many years have passed, and now the elder vampires stand on the verge of evolution. Tonight marks a decisive moment, as one among them will rise to become the new lord. Realization dawns on the young man as he faces an arch-vampire, the supreme leader among monsters. Yet defiance, not fear, flashes in his gaze. With swift determination, he draws his sword and declares that his blood will never become part of any ritual. Without waiting for a reply, the young man lunges forward, his blade slicing through the Dark Lord's defenses and striking directly at his heart. The blade pierces through the defense, drawing a pained groan. The vampire recoils with a cry, taken aback by such unexpected resistance. Unsteady on his feet, disbelief clouds his expression as he realizes the wound is real. His eyes dart with anxiety and panic, shock mingling in their depths. None of this was meant to happen. The ancient vampire senses something far more troubling, a wound that refuses to heal. His body, once capable of instantaneous regeneration, now lingers in pain. Enraged, he unleashes a furious cry and vanishes instantly, dissolving into a swirling cloud of bats. His followers lunge forward, intent on the attack, but suddenly stumble to a halt, sensing that something has gone awry. The girls spring into action, landing blows with remarkable precision. Enemies topple one after another as astonished onlookers can only gape in disbelief. Seizing the moment, the young man surges forward, driving his sword straight into the chest of the arch-vampire, whose form has yet to fully recover. The blow lands with precision and lethality. Terror and agony flicker in the creature's eyes, its mind unable to grasp how swiftly fate has turned against it. Collapsed on the ground, the arch-vampire lets out a laugh while blood trickles from his lips. He admits he never once believed defeat was possible. The boy, calm and collected, quietly remarks that the enemy was no different from anyone else. Yet, with his last breath, the foe manages a whisper that the party is just beginning. In the wake of the fallen, a new ruler will rise, setting his sights on you as the next target. The hunt is far from over. The boy gazes silently out the window at the vampire corpses. With no hint of emotion, he leaves the room. Luluka remains frozen, still shaken by the horror. Calmly and precisely, he informs her that the enemy has been defeated. The weight of his words leaves her frozen in astonishment. Undeterred, the hero presses on, fully aware that danger still lies ahead. Issuing a firm command, he orders everyone to be awakened and take shelter in the basement. Determination blazes in his eyes, refusing to be extinguished. Meanwhile, life buzzes on in the bar, a world completely removed from bloodshed and battles, existing in a different reality altogether. Quite tipsy, the woman sways unsteadily, murmuring that she can't manage another drop. The bartender flashes a knowing smile and nods. This customer is a familiar face. Whenever the order shifts to their signature drink, simply called S, the guest always goes overboard. Lost in thought, the woman mutters to herself about finding a man rather than drowning her days in drink. She wonders aloud if adventure has vanished from the world altogether. Muttering in drunken outrage, the woman dismisses all adventurers as filthy, coarse brutes, far from her preferred company. Her tone leaves no doubt that none of them merit so much as a glance from her. Asked by the bartender about her ideal partner, she sways slightly before replying with a tipsy grin, her answer revealing a taste that is anything but ordinary. Handsome men had always been her weakness. Even the mere thought of charming boys sent her gaze drifting with delight, as though savoring a true feast for the eyes. Interest flickers in her eyes only during that brief rite of passage when a boy becomes a young man. Neither children nor adults find favor with her. The air grows thick with discomfort whenever her words break the silence. The bartender lets out a sigh. Amidst all that noise and disorder, her beauty might have stood out, if not for the brash tone and those drunken eyes. A sudden scream shatters the bar's easygoing mood. Conversations die away and everyone turns to look as tension thickens in the air. A man enters the bar carrying an unconscious body in his arms. The room falls silent and a heavy stillness settles over everyone. The drunken woman recognizes him instantly. A vampire. Her voice quivers, yet determination sharpens her warning as she shouts for everyone to stay away, insisting he is dangerous. A hush spreads through the bar, whispers floating from table to table. The idea of a vampire seems unthinkable. Everyone believed these creatures had long vanished, yet unease rises swiftly among the crowd. Faces in the crowd turn her way, recognition dawning as memories resurface. This woman is no ordinary drunkard, but a seasoned adventurer with many stories behind her eyes. Her words inspire trust. Meanwhile, the vampire joins the conversation with a smile, effortlessly displaying his control as if to affirm his true nature. His eyes gleam with a predatory shine. Within the crowd, only prey catches his focus. To him, everyone becomes an item on a menu, and the prospect of choosing amuses him. An overwhelming magic, more intense than anything encountered before, washes over her. This is no ordinary vampire, but an arch-vampire, and a cold fear tightens around her heart. His gaze sweeps over her with a dreadful curiosity. A smile plays on his lips as he remarks that she looks especially tempting today. Wearing that same confident smile, he declares she won't escape. In response, she sprints away, determination sharpening her movements despite the haze of alcohol clouding her mind. Running while intoxicated feels like a nightmare. Guilt gnaws at her for giving in to weakness, yet determination drives her forward. Legs trembling, she pushes on, refusing to let resolve slip or to stumble. Bursting out of the bar, the woman senses footsteps closing in behind her. Panic hammers in her chest as the vampire pursues, the gap between them rapidly shrinking. There he stood ahead, wearing a calm, confident smile. Before she could even react, he had already made his move, leaving her to wonder how he managed it. The odds may be slim, but resolve does not falter. Gathering every ounce of strength, she stands her ground and prepares to face whatever lies ahead.